TPN.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio.
And so, my fellow Americans, I have a dream.
You're listening to Trigger.
You want to crown them? Then crown their ass.
I ain't scared of you, mother.
The one and only
Mike Brown. Mike Brown.
My calculations are correct.
Let's begin.
All right, we're back. Due to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised. We're back again. All right, with What's in It for the Black People Media Network. It presents Trigger with Instructor Mike. I am your host, Instructor Mike. All right, thank you for just hanging out here. We're going to go ahead and go right into it. The debate, between President Donald Trump and former Vice President, I almost called him Ron Howard. That's not his name, Joe Biden. It was like watching two old men scoot over who gets the vegetables and shit. I don't know. It was not something that it wasn't presidential. But then Trump is not a political president. He's a businessman. So I mean, that's what made it one of those what to see on TV, must see TV. That's what made it that, because you knew it was going to be that. I mean, if you remember the vice presidential debates between Paul Ryan and Joe Biden, when Joe Biden was snapping back at Paul Ryan, you knew that that's how Joe Biden handles his debate. So it made it must see TV. But one of the things that I'm going to focus on is the Proud Boys statement. You know, when they were asking President Trump to denounce white supremacy. Now, this isn't the first time that President Trump has done that. He's done that before. Some people didn't hear it. Not every person watches the news. He's done it before. But when you're running for political office and that's your base, are you really going to ask a percentage of your base to be denounced? Is that something that you're going to have that happen? And I don't know how many people even remember the candidacy of, or the political candidacy of then Senator Barack Obama when he was first running for president, not re-election. But remember how he separated himself from Reverend Jeremiah Wright. Yeah, people wanted him to denounce the so-called radicalism of Jeremiah Wright. And it wasn't radicalism, but people wanted him to denounce that. And guess what Obama did? He did just that. He separated himself from the Reverend Jeremiah Wright, his pastor, you Christians, diehard Christians, his head overseer, if you will, his spiritual leader. He separated himself from that. I just think that the hypocrisy and the political message of whatever this agenda is that we're trying to craft, you want to eat your cake and have it too. And so if we're not going to call Barack Obama on that, we're going to call Trump on saying anything about racism and his supposed base. I just think that that's messed up. All right. Neither here nor there. You believe what you believe. Let's look at the Pride Boys. The Pride Boys, right? The Pride Boys, they were said to be a white supremacist group, but are they white supremacist? If you actually look at the makeup of the group, you have an Afro-Cuban who's supposedly heading the group. And then you have other black members that were in the group. First time I've ever heard their name, I'm just to be honest, right? But told the Proud Boys Proud Boys to stand down and stand by. And what did you see? What was flooding my timeline? You see a bunch of black folks and others, but I'm going to tell you what I saw on my timeline. A bunch of black folks in the Malcolm X-esque type picture. One guy with a little sexy old neo fedora, right, with a vest and a tie, and he's holding what appears to be an AR-15 or some kind of rifle with a magazine in his hand, and then he has a pistol on his side saying, "We are not our grandparents." So that's going to be a topic of discussion today. Are we our grandparents? Are we our great-grandparents? Are we our ancestors? And I think that's a very disrespectful statement, because it implies as though our grandparents took it. That's what that implies. It implies as though they sat there and now granted, some of them willingly got their ass whooped. Others got beaten to submission. Others chose to fight and die. Others chose to sacrifice themselves. We are not our grandparents. We're not going to lock hands and go down the Edmund Pettus Bridge and sing "We Shall Overcome" and get our asses whooped and stuff. We are willing to fight back. Okay, let's analyze that. That's going to be the topic of today's trigger. Let's analyze how ready and willing we are to fight back. One, you know, the days and the weaponry of what they had back then and the resources of what they had back then was probably different, or not probably, let's talk facts, factually different than what we actually have and they actually have now, right? If you look at, you said we're doing the same thing they did 50 years ago. Yeah, I'd agree with that. But if you look at the weaponry that they had now, a lot of those police officers had revolvers. Yeah, we had guns, not that much, but, you know, whatever the case may be. And you seen the Black Panthers rise up and they had shotguns. And you see the, you know, symbolic in the actual, the Huey P. Newtons and the Fred Hamptons and things like that. You see the imagery, you see the realism, things like that, you know, of us standing up. But let's look at the difference between what our grandparents and great-grandparents did then versus what we do now, and ask that question about the Proud Boys. Are we ready and willing to engage? Are we our grandparents or are we not? See, back then they were actually dying more than what we see today, right? You couldn't walk down the block without having to worry about not just the police, but the white families on the blocks that were messing with you regardless of what you wore. You were definitely profiled because you were a darkie, because you had dark skin, and you were definitely profiled. You could literally walk down the street and find one of your friends maybe hanging from a doggone tree or getting killed. And when death is real, and death is palatable, and you can feel it and taste it and sense it in the air, when you see it, then it makes a fight a little bit different. We might as well go on ahead and band together and form the civil rights movement and fight like hell, because we're dying like hell, so I'd rather die fighting than to die on my knees, because death was palatable. It was real. We weren't given anything. We had to fight. And so I think that statement, we are not our grandparents, of course, by some punk ass millennial who doesn't fucking understand the history back then. And granted, I do agree, Kenneth, our grandparents were truly peacefully protesting and got murdered for it. That, yeah, was no fucking rioting. They were peacefully protesting. They were sitting in. They band together. And they died, in essence, fighting like hell to give us what little access we have. The access to information that so many of us take for granted. So don't insult our grandparents and great-grandparents back then, because we who are alive of the 70s and 80s and 90s will never know a brand of racism that they knew back in the day. We will never know what it's like to be lynched. You may think you have some Lynch-esque shit, but you will never know what that's like. You could take your ass over to Evergreen Plaza and maybe you got to worry about getting a ticket from the Evergreen Park Police Department, but you don't have to worry so much as you think about taking your ass on Western and worried about getting beat up by the white families over there. Oh, how little you really know, because your ass ain't picked up a book or bothered to talk to somebody about what they've actually been through. But then we ask ourselves, are we prepared for this? Because President Trump said a triggering statement about the Pride Boys: stand down and stand by unless something goes wrong, and then we'll have to take action. And here come the folks that just got their Fisher-Price, my first AR-15. I just got my new Glock 40, knowing damn well it ain't no Glock 40. It's a Glock 22 40 caliber. You don't even know your own shit. But you talking about you ready. Yes, I'm triggering the fuck out of you, and I don't have a problem saying it, because you need somebody to tell your ass, sit on down. She's good to go? All right. Okay. You need somebody to tell you to sit it on down. Not saying that we are not ready entirely, but have we even controlled the dynamics of crime in our community? You can't even stop your cousin from stealing shit out your wallet, but you're ready to stop the white man from stealing your life. How'd that work? Come on now. How does that work? We will see a woman get her ass whooped on 87th and the Dan Ryan and won't say shit, ready for police to come on by and be the problem solver when we don't even take the initiative to be willing to die in that confrontation to save that sister's life. But you're ready to fight some Proud Boys. You're ready to fight some Pride Boys. I'm, as a professional firearms instructor, I ain't talking about that little, I just got a certificate, now I'm going to sit there and put you through a little something. You don't know I'm going to give you a certificate to give you that false-ass confidence. I'm talking about as a combat veteran, a professional firearms instructor. I see what I see on the gun range. And trust me, what I'm about to tell you, I'm not making fun of us. I'm telling you the real. You can't even go into a gun range without worried about the sound of the gunfire and your fears of the gun. But you somehow ready to go to combat. And this is just sound. Lest we remember the riots from back a couple of months ago. A child not embraced by the village will burn it to feel its warmth. Our own children, I watched that interview just a minute ago. She talked about getting whooped. Look. We beat the shit out of our kids instead of creating the next set of warriors. You worried about a Kyle Rittenhouse and why he traveled up to Wisconsin with a rifle, and your ass can't even get to the next village without getting pulled over because you don't recognize that how you look determines how you get pulled over in part. But you ready to fight some Pride Boys. We get happy at seeing certain kinds of imagery with Malcolm X in the window with a rifle by any means necessary without looking at the fact that Malcolm X, all praises and respect to the man, but he didn't practice a lick of the violence that he preached. Anybody can sit here and say a whole bunch of things to motivate and fuck your ego, but if they've never been a general on the field, anybody who's ever been to war will tell you war is hell. War is vicious. If you look at the structure of the military, you got the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, and the Space Force. We got a fucking Space Force. Some of y'all can't even take heights. I'm talking facts. Killer Mike even said it one time on the National Black Convention, something like that in Atlanta. You can look it up on YouTube. Do we even hunt? Do you fish? Do you live off the land? Can you shoot? I'm not talking about that little ass piece of paper that fills your ego. Can you actually shoot and have the violent mindset to be psychologically okay with the war that you're trying to wage? Better yet, not just you, is your family prepared for the dastardly consequences that come with war? The casualties of war. Those of you all who studied World War II, what do you think made the Japanese surrender? At the Potsdam Declaration, where you had Truman as the president. And you had other we were doing what we were doing overseas, but that wasn't enough. The will of the Japanese people was so strong to the point where we had to drop a bomb in Hiroshima. We had to drop a bomb in Nagasaki and cause untold devastation to the likes of what has never seen before. Are you willing to have that devastation befall upon your family because of your lack of readiness? How long do you think that battle will even last? We're still trying to rebuild the resources. I just got through watching a press conference with the Chicago Police Chief of Detective Dennehan, Superintendent Brown, and the other people, the Mag Mile president, the shoppers, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but the Shoppers Coalition and things of that nature, not only in that, in the Auburn, Gresham, and in the Greater Chatham, and they're saying how many stores we've lost, and they're still trying to rebuild. Fool, you fucked your own shit up, but you ready for some war. And then you want to go over to the communities and act, why you don't let us in? Motherfucker, you had your own shit. You had your own shit. And you fucked it up. Come on now. if that's not disturbing, I don't know. But you ready for some Proud Boys? You get happy at seeing little imagery of a man in a window with an AR-15 and a gun with a little sexy ass Neo fedora hat and a suit and tie, and that's the imagery that gets you going. Huh? We ready. In combat, he would have died before he ever closed the blinds. They would have shot through the windshield, fool. You don't have no ballistic protection at all. We are not ready for no type of combat. We're not ready for war. That doesn't mean you're not ready to protect your families. That doesn't mean you're not ready to protect your house, but you're not ready for war. You let, I'ma say the fucking name. You let Jamal Green, you let Jedediah Brown, you let those people take your ass over to Mount Greenwood only for the community to stand up and tell you, ha, we not having that here. And what did you swing low? Sweet chariot. You took your ass back over to the community and didn't learn a lesson from what they told you, that regardless of their internal differences within Mount Greenwood, for which you may never know because you don't humble yourself enough to even have a conversation to agree to disagree. They got problems in their community too. But when that time came up that outsiders went to that community, they stood up and they told you, take your ass back to your side, fool. Yes, we have racism over here. Whether we admit it or not, it is what it is. But the bottom line is this. You're not going to bring your ass over here to our community and fuck our shit up. You're not going to do it. And if you would take a page from our book, yes, you can have problems in your community, but if you don't solve your own shit, don't bring yourself over here. Joshua Bills called his own problem when he wasn't supposed to be carrying that gun outside that car. Let's start with the facts there, because while you may be entitled to your opinion, you are not entitled to the facts, and that's part of the problem. We don't accept certain things that are factual. Go ahead, get your Uncle Tom's, Coons, Sambos. Go ahead and call me that shit, because at the end of the day, you just going to sugarcoat it, and then you're going to eat that shit because of the sugar that's on that coated, that bullshit you telling yourself. We're not ready. As a professional firearms instructor who loves everybody under the sound of my voice, you freaking listen to me right now. Eyeballs on me right now. Eyeballs on me right now. You're not freaking ready. You are not ready. How many of us are out of shape? You signed your ass up for the Chicago Marathon and can't even run half the fucking block. How many of us are not ready? We are not ready. You just went and bought your gun. You don't even know how to break the shit down. I get people calling me all the time asking me, how do you clean your gun? Now, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the cause. I appreciate the love. But the facts are the facts. If you don't know how to clean it, if you don't know how to maintain it, if you're not ready for, look, you can sit there and you ready to shoot. How many of you ready to sacrifice your wives? How many of you ready to sacrifice your children? Remember what they did when they built this country. And granted, they built it on our backs. But remember what they did when they started this country. They approached the continent of Africa with the little ass guns that they got. And they were able to capture the weaker, in essence, of the kings and queens. By the way, we were sold into slavery by them. That's another fact that you keep ignoring. You know how some of us will sell off some of us to get some shit. Barack Obama, oh shit. I bet you if Jeremiah Wright was listening, he over there like, hey man. Here we go. You got to ask yourself, are you ready? I'm going there. I'm going to trigger you on every fucking thing. You got to ask yourself, are you ready? They showed up to the continent of Africa, and they were able to take. They were outnumbered, and they were still able to psychologically make you think that you were in a greater prison than you were. There is no way that the numbers of those the numbers of those that took captive were more than the captors themselves. But the mindset was fucked. It is a known theory in psychological operations in any military conflict. If I can weaken your mind's ability to wage war, I own your body. And you can't even, and that's why I am the type of person that I reject your bullshit talk about oppression. I reject your bullshit talk about racism. Don't tell me about no fucking chains I'm not in. Because I don't need you to sell me on some shit I'm not feeling. I'm here to tell you that you're not a slave. I'm here to tell you you're a survivor and not a victim. And you letting those who continuously want to keep you in slavery so they can get money off of your mental imprisonment, which will result in your physical imprisonment. Your ass ain't off welfare, but you want war. Get the fuck out of here. And I'm not talking about those who use it, who really need it as a step up. I'm talking about you generational fucks. You ain't off welfare, but you want war. You think because little Tip got a gun with a 30 popper, he ready. Real combat veterans ain't scared. We know how to change mags. We know how to throw grenades. Oh, that shit that you came by. We know about the M134s and the 249s and the 240 Bravos. We know how to acquire and get shit. We know about flanking tactics. Are you ready for that? We know how to sit there and shoot one of the kids, and you flank to one of the kids and everybody crowd around and we lay down cover fire and suppress you all. Are you really ready for war? Y'all got triggered and happy at the sight of 200 black folks on a fucking road going to the headquarters or the place where the KKK was founded. Y'all saw that shit on TV and got happy. Us combat veterans are like, what the fuck are they doing? They are all bunched up together and wearing black. It's nothing but you get a couple of pressure cookers dropped in the area. By the way, how many of us own planes? We want to celebrate the Red Tails. And God bless them, the Tuskegee Airmen. How many of you all are airplane pilots? Or your parents fucked that dream up when she was whooping your ass? Are we our grandparents? No, we're not. We are not. We are not. What's in it for the black people should be the truth of where we stand. That should be a part of our agenda. That doesn't mean that we sit here and say that we are weak, because we're not that. But it takes a strong person to be able to admit to their weaknesses. It takes a strong person to be able to say, hey, I may want to, but I'm not ready yet. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. A smart person has won the war before it's even begun. Admiral Yamamoto, the admiral of the Imperial Japanese Navy during Pearl Harbor, a smart person finds a way not to wage war. Not to wage war. War is hell. War is hell. It's hell. If you've never been in it, you don't know. If you've never, and I'm not talking about these street wars. Yeah, okay, maybe, but that's us on us. We can't even get together at a damn family reunion without Uncle Joe fucking it up. But somehow we ready for war. We want to sit here and talk about black and brown coalitions and things like that. You saw what happened when an innocent black person went over to a Mexican neighborhood during that time and she got almost killed, if not necessarily killed. Why? Because they don't know friend from foe. There's nothing on her that says she's not a part of the rioters. So guess what? To suppress it all. If you look like that, we taking you out. That is combat, fool. Are you ready to sacrifice your innocent relatives who don't know how to do, who may be scared to do? Are you willing to get your children killed? You know, that's a part of combat, right? Are you willing to see that 13% go less and less? Are you willing? Are you willing? That's what we need to think about. Some of you all are just recovering from the pandemic and you're ready to start another one. Are you ready and willing? You could be mad all the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. Be mad. Be mad. But that's what people want us to do. They want us to be angry and emotional so that we can't analyze. They want you to attack people like and better than me. They want you to attack people like Maze, where we're trying to give you the game. We're trying to tell you what you're not paying attention to. And instead of shutting the fuck up and recognizing you just don't know, but that you want to learn, you'll call us a name. You'll say all this other shit about us. And at the end of the day, when you get massacred and now you have to come back and reanalyze shit, now you want to sit there and say a motherfucker's right. Look, I'm not doing this for me. I don't give a shit. It is what it is. But somebody's got to be willing to push past all this commentary from you all attacking me, not to give a fuck about any of that, to tell you, fool. And as long as I got a voice, I'm going to tell you, we are not ready. Now, one of you is saying it's going to happen regardless if we're ready or not. We will never be prepared. Infighting, and I can't even see the rest of the comment. I'll get a chance to look at it a little bit. Yeah, hold on. Infighting, and we can't come together for shit. You're right, Trey. You're right. You're absolutely right. They turn their children into warriors. We beat the warriors out of our children. We put more trauma on them, and then you want to blame somebody else. The white man ain't whooped that ass. You did. Because you got a problem with your baby daddy and your baby mama. Because you look like your damn daddy. We're traumatizing the hell out of our future and wondering why the future is fucked right now. That doesn't mean it's going to forever be fucked. But at some point in time, you're going to have to unfuck it. You're going to have to unfuck it. You're going to have to. Because if we don't, you think let me tell you something. So let me play white man for a minute. Some of y'all are like, Mike, that's par for the course. You're good at doing that. Fuck it, whatever. Let me play white man. So what would I do if I were going to go on ahead and wage war against black folks? Let me tell you how I would plan it. This is going to be fun, okay? One, I would just continue to have some of the bad folks, that you keep blaming, right? Some of the ones that are dumb enough not to, pay attention and things like that. And, you're going to cause some problems. If you look at the demographics of those who are being killed, right, in essence by police, we know, right? I'm going to play this not every white person thinks in this box. Let me preface that, because that's not fair to white people, just like not every black person is ignorant. You've got smart black folks that are just great and wonderful. We want what we want. We're not bothering anybody. And then you got you know what I'm trying to say, right? And then you got your white folks who aren't racist, but they get blamed for racism. Yeah, you got that, because some of you black folks watching love to sit here and talk about a white person and say this white person is racist, and you don't know a damn thing about him, but you want him to see you in a different light from what he or she may think about you. That's another fact base right there. But I'm talking about the actual racist, the actual white racist, okay, neo-Nazis, whatever the case may be. If I was to be a smart one, and not to act off of emotion, right? We would just go around and just start killing off the criminals, like the ones who are already out there in the streets, but it wouldn't be like a face-to-face confrontation or anything like that. We would just start, maybe hiding in trees, ghillie suits, hiding in lagoons, just moving in places where you least expect us to be, or even where you mainly expect us to be, okay? We would just go on ahead and just start popping off one by one, but then the bodies would have to actually stay in the streets for you to actually see the death, right? And just cause a psychological pandemic to the point where you see all these different police cars, all these different ambulances, right? All these different bodies just dropping in the streets like flies. I mean, after all, you stand out there and you're selling drugs anyway. You stand out there and you're just hanging on the streets. You're not paying attention to your environment, so just kill you where you are and just create a psychological pandemic to make you feel that you're really in fear of your life. You think you've seen violence. You hadn't seen violence. Then what you could see, just be lucky. Be lucky. Because if they really want to, it'd be easy to do. Too easy. They don't have to camouflage themselves in blackface. They don't have to do that. It's just too easy. Too arrogant. Too arrogant, right? I don't have to deny you property. Don't have to deny you banks. Don't have to deny you any of that stuff, right? Just too arrogant. And then what do? You'll protest. You'll march in the streets, right? And then maybe we just move a protest in a strategic area where how many airplanes do you own, right? So do you have air superiority? How many helicopters do you own? Do you have air superiority? Why not just drop some kind of bombs from the sky? I mean, these are the things. Are you sure you're ready for that? Are you ready for that? You're not even ready for that, right? There's small airports surrounding the Chicago area. Are you ready for that? See, it's the threats you don't see. You're not prepared for that, not even in the remote sense, right? While you're sleeping night, you know how easy it would be to set up tripwires that as soon as you walk outside of your place, you trip and then a bomb goes off? That's white people shit. Are you ready for that? I mean, it could be done. You got to go to sleep sometime. And it's more of them than it is of us. Are you ready for that? I mean, think about it. The Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, right? Are you ready for that? You spend more time saying fuck the police. You spend more time saying fuck Trump. You spend more time saying fuck this, fuck that. Are you learning? Do I need to quote again the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who said when good persons fall or good people fall, or just people fall? We can take that message and just craft it how we want to. When people fall, don't laugh, learn. Don't laugh, learn. Learn, because you're on your way up. And you're human. You're not immune to the things that will cause that person to fall. When people fall or when people are successful, learn from them. Learn about them. Learn what makes them move. Learn what makes them tick. I mean, dude, you worried about some Proud Boys. We don't even have proud families. Our family structures are messed up. What do you think a squad is? What do you think a platoon is? What do you think a company is? What do you think a battalion is? What do you think a brigade is, a corps, an army? If you don't know any of these terms, you're already out of sync. What do you think leadership is? What are your fields of fight? You don't, dude. Any firearms instructor, and I know some of you are like, I won't go to his concealed carry class. I won't take his concealed carry class because he's talking about the weakness of our people and the degradation of our people, and it's anti-black, anti-this. No, I'm far from that. You're not understanding that, dude. If we can make warriors in 16 hours, which is the time frame of an average Illinois concealed carry course, which is less than what some other states require, if we could turn warriors in from 16 hours, that would be great. Do you know how much time and how much training even goes into creating a basic soldier? We're not talking about a Navy SEAL. We're not talking about an Army Ranger. We're not talking about a para-rescueman. We're not talking about, someone with a green tab, special forces. We're not talking about someone in the special operations community. We're not even talking about a person on a SWAT team operator. Do you know how much time and energy it takes into actually creating an operator? How much training, and then after that training, how many missions and continuous training and training and training and more training. Training and training and more training. Do you know how much will actually go into that? But here you are with a 16 or a 20-hour or maybe even a 40-hour course, and somehow you feel you're ready to take on a race of people who, by the way, they've been doing it. We're just catching up, by and large. Now, I'm not talking about some of you, because there is a great cohort, in essence, of black folks who train all the time. You and I know we're not talking about us. We're not talking about that. Because I'll be humble enough to say there's some things I don't know. That's why I'm always in training. You can never stop learning. But I would be remiss in my professional and personal obligation as an instructor and someone who's experienced to sit there and allow people who mean well to be persuaded by those idiots who have the same skin or type, hue, and ancestral lineage to walk us into a massacre because you want a solution. If you think the solution is a bullet, you better be prepared for the one that's aimed at you. Except their technology is greater. We're talking about, and I'm not talking about modern day, but we're talking about people who come from a race of people that, look, I don't care what you say. Violence built this country. This country was founded on the ideals of freedom and justice, but it was made possible through a hostile takeover. An extremely hostile and a visceral takeover using psychological warfare. Psychological warfare. And if we're not psychologically strong, I've told you before to read this book by Tim Larkin, When Violence is the Answer. Some of you hear the word violence and you cringe. You fold. You think of violence as anger. You think of violence as the get back, I can't believe, why are we so violent? Why can't we be at peace? What makes you think that the United States is the most powerful country and the president of the United States is the most powerful person in the world, in essence? Do you think it's because of our economics? Do you think it's because e pluribus unum, out of many one? Do you think it's because of democracy? Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain. You think it's because of that patriotism, that warm, fuzzy feeling when you hear the United States Army's band play at the president? You think that's what that is? No, motherfucker. What makes us the most powerful country is that the world knows that we are violent, that the world knows that at first we will start diplomatically persuading you that it's in your best interest to bend to our will, because we want to play nice and we don't. Hiroshima, no, you want us to show you the picture. We got wet boys in a say. Do you want us to? You do understand that we might have even fucked our own shit up to create some shit to maintain this shit. Do you really want to fuck with us? Because we will not hesitate to annihilate your very existence from the face of this planet. But that would do more harm than good. So it's probably better that you just do what we ask you to do, and maybe we'll give you a little bit of arms. We'll give you our old shit and give you $1 million just for good measure. Because it's better to not piss us off, because you really don't want to fuck with us, because if the United States goes down, we will fuck this whole planet up. There's a thing called mutually assured destruction, that as soon as you launch your birds, we will launch our shit faster. If the United States goes down, you idiots, the whole world will go down. Do you think we're going down without a fight? You don't even know the silos and the things that we have in this country, and why no other military than the United States has their hands in every other country. We got NORCOM, we got SOUTHCOM, we got AFRICOM, we got CENTCOM, we got USAREUR, we got bases all over the world. And we will destroy this planet if the United States goes down. But some of you are dumb as shit and you don't even recognize. You want to sit there and piss off Trump? Is that something you really want to fucking do? You got to humble yourself. We going to go on. I done been doing this. We go on a break. I need to get something to drink. We'll be right back with Triggered.
WIFTBPN. Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
When you need vibrant, colorful gear that offers high-performance material that keeps you cool, call Agent Huff Custom Gear. Let us take your expressions and create something new for your everyday wear, your bedroom, or bath. For all your needs, we offer custom sublimation, silkscreen, vinyl, and embroidery. You can reach us on all things social at Superhero Huff, www.superherohuff.com, or 630-476-9191.
Introducing your trusted source for high-quality black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
We fun guy.
Where's tomorrow?
Fun guy, what's up, baby?
What it do, baby?
Yeah, yo, what do you know?
You know what I'm saying? So I'll be telling you.
What's going on, Chicago? What's in it for the Black People Media presents?
I want to go higher. Oh, my God.
Call your sons, call your daughters, call your friends, call your neighbors.
The Big Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. with Eugene McIntosh and Terrence Tomlin. We got what you need right here on What's in it for the Black People Media.
WIFTBPN.
Live from What's in it for the Black Media Studio.
And so, my fellow Americans, I have a dream.
You're listening to Triggered.
You want to crown them? Then crown their ass.
I ain't scared of you, mother.
The one and only.
Mike Brown. Mike Brown.
My calculations are correct.
Let's begin.
All right, we're back. We're back. What's in it for the Black People Media Network presents Trigger with Instructor Mike. I am your host, Instructor Mike. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and don't forget if you're on Facebook, go on ahead and hit that like button for the Maze Jackson page. Go on ahead and hit those stars. Hit those stars. That's what helps What's in it for the Black People Media Network create great content such as Chicago Famous with Mike Love and Diz, with I Said What I Said, Herb Howard with Tucson Warner, and other great shows, The Book of Dawn, The Bigs. Got a lot of great content on here. Let's get right back into it. Black people have been humbling themselves for centuries. Yeah, okay, all right. Well, what's the definition of humbling? I'm looking at some of these comments on Facebook. So I'm going to engage with you all for the duration of this show because I do want to hear what you have to say regarding this topic because I said a lot, and I know I've triggered you. But that's okay. I like that. So what are your thoughts? I don't know if we've been humbling ourselves. What is this definition of humbling? I don't know if that's the right word. Maybe. I appreciate your comment though. I don't want to say we've been bowing down. I don't know if that's the case. And maybe if that's how you feel, that's fine. Some people may feel that way, but I'm just looking at things from a tactical standpoint. And what do I mean when I say tactical? I'm talking about the resources that you even need to be able to wage war, the mindset that you need to even be able to wage war. You know, some people, whether or not you've had military training, if you've taken your military training even seriously, I mean, for crying out loud, infiltrating, if you will, I don't want to use the word infiltrating, but just getting into the police departments, even, you know, armed security or unarmed security, or better yet, how about just voluntary community patrols? Do you need to be a part of an official structure to protect your community? Do you just have to have an understanding or a love for this thing called community? I'm going to go back to this saying, we are not our grandparents. No, fuck, we are not our grandparents, because I remember a time where my grandparents would care. I remember a time where we lived on blocks where you could actually play and go to the next door neighbor's house across the way or next door to you. I remember a time when our grandparents, you know, that's the time that I remember. And why are we not there now? Where do we fall off? How do we end up creating the next generation of parents who created the next generation of children, and they had a responsibility and a duty, and we're not even together as families like we should have been? Where did we lose this? Now, if we're saying we're not our grandparents, we also have to put some of the blame for where we are on our grandparents. Why? Because the minute our grandparents actually started to get access to the shit they fought for, they got comfortable. They got comfortable. Yes, they got comfortable. They started getting whatever jobs they could get more access to and whatever money they got access to or whatever the case may have been, and then they spoiled the shit out of us. They got us whatever we wanted because, well, I didn't have it growing up, so I'm going to make sure you got it. So you got everything that you wanted in some of your households and things like that. Some of your grandparents got that access and still taught you the value of a dollar, still taught you how to go out there and still fish and hunt and do things for your own. And then we have to even make an admission about there being a huge difference between northern blacks and southern blacks. There's a huge difference between that. Down south blacks and northern blacks are not the same kind of black. Down there they have southern, and I know because I've been in military bases down south, they have southern hospitality. They speak. Shit, you can't even get somebody to get on the doggone train car and hope that they speak. We don't speak to each other unless, here we go, triggered. Friends fucking the financing. Yep, I said it. If we ain't friends fucking the financing, we don't even talk to each other. That's a northern black thing. If it ain't about money, sex, or being a friend, whatever that is, we're not speaking to each other. But down south, they at least speak. Hey, how you doing? How's your mama doing? How's this? How's that? How's this? How's that? Why? Because down south, you think you fucking know racism. Boy, take your ass down south. Even black folks will tell you there's a certain way you deal with the police. There's a certain way you talk to them. There's a certain way you handle yourself around them. Why? Because while it may not be to the level of our grandparents, the sentiments and the feelings are very, very real in that southern part of the area. Y'all ready for me to trigger you again? You ready? Here we go. Testing 1, 2, 3. Due to the graphic nature of what you're about to hear, listener discretion is advised. Are you ready? Here we go. Sandra Bland didn't even get that message. Oh, shit. Say her name. I'm going to say it, love. Sandra Bland. She's from the Chicagoland area, but guess what she did? She brought that northern aggression down south to the good old state of Texas, the great state of Texas. You know, the stars at night are big and bright deep in the heart of Texas. Took that northern aggression down there. She got pulled over for a traffic infraction, something she should have been able to just easily get from out from under if she had just done 4 things. Shut the fuck up, Lord Jesus. And that's part of the problem that some of y'all don't have, is that when someone want to tell you to shut the fuck up, they know you can't handle it, and they not willing to get slapped in the face because you can't take that strong shut the fuck up. So I'm going to sit there and tell you. On this traffic stop, all they told her to do, amongst anything, put the cigarette out. She ain't want to do it. So you let a Newport get your ass into a situation where it's questionable as to whether or not you killed yourself or they killed you. No, but Mike, she should have the freedom to do whatever she want to do. She should have the freedom to keep her cigarette going. Who the fuck is this police officer, white racist oppressor, you telling me to put my cigarette out? Just put the fucking cigarette out. But she had a problem with that. I wonder why. And you brought that northern aggression down south. So you might be able to do that, Chicago police. Right, because we under this, watch decree, and everybody got the body cameras and, all this other stuff. And cops are kind of afraid to do their job now because they don't want to be on the media and losing their job so that their kids can't go to Brother Rice or Mother Macaulay or Mount Carmel, shit like that. So now the kids going to Marist or whatever. So they got to make sure they keep their pensions and whatever they got going on so they don't fuck their family up for trying to fuck somebody else up or just simply patrolling the community. Chicago, we live in that democratic city where, like Tony Preckwinkle said when she was running for office, Chicago is a beautiful city, a city with walls, a city with, rivers and lakes. And, I just want to say that Chicago is that type of city where, we have heroes. And if I am your mayor, you heard the bullshit. You heard it. So here we go. In that place, didn't learn to just be quiet. Just didn't learn to just be quiet. And it's not a thing of playing possum, if you will, in putting that cigarette out, but it was a thing of pride. You diehard Christians know something about pride, don't you? Don't they say pride begets the fall? Pride begets the fall. And some of you have a hard time recognizing that sometimes in order to get the greater control, you got to give up just a little bit of control. When you go in for a surgical procedure, you have to give up the control of your body to let that doctor do what he has to do to bring that healing on the inside and suture up what they need to suture up so you can have the greater control of this thing called your life. But nobody in your life taught you about that shit. See, down south, folk, they kind of get that a little bit. Up north, folk, we ain't too worried about that because we'll holler racism when it looks like that, but it may not even be. We too busy fighting amongst our families and the other shit that we want to ignore. But you ain't worried about that. So she don't put the cigarette out. And it causes trouble on that traffic stop with this racist, oppressor, white punk ass police officer, who, by the way, has the right to tell you to put the cigarette out because he just don't want it to get flicked on him. And shit goes wrong. And she ends up in a position where she's dead. And now we got to say her name. What the fuck is that going to do for her family to say her name? Would you rather somebody say your name and a hashtag on a fucking shirt, or you be alive for them to enjoy the beauty that is your life? I'd rather just be alive. I don't want somebody to fight for me in terms of that area. I want to do the best that I can to make sure I keep my ass alive, which means I may have to put myself in check. How many of you all have had to do that before? How many of you, your mouth wrote a check your ass couldn't cash, but you had the life to be able to learn that lesson? To be able to do it all over again. That's what happens when we don't take a page from the book of what happens in someone's tragedy. Man, I'm telling you, we got to do things better. We got to do things better. We are, and we come from a lineage of kings and queens. But you can't pick and choose which lessons you want to learn when the whole thing is to be studied. You can't pick and choose. I'm going to learn this lesson about standing up and standing strong and standing proud. I'm going to tell you about a friend I got. I got a Japanese-American friend. And my Japanese-American friend, I acquired him as a friend when I was a police officer in that town. Had to respond to a call at his house. And so I was just when I went into his house, I was just intrigued by what was in there. There's a lot of Japanese swords, and he's a Marine Corps veteran and stuff like that. And he's got a lot of stuff. And, shouts out to Nidra. Thank you for the 2,500 stars. Here we go. Yay. And by the way, make sure you go to Solo Beauty Supply, the 8100 block of Cottage Grove. Support the people who support you. Shouts out to Nidra. And she also bought my book. Yay. Let's keep going. He said, Mike, and this was over time after I met him. He said, Mike, I feel I could say this to you because I feel you can handle it. I feel that I can say this to you, and I feel that you can take it because I don't think you're going to get offended. We've had enough conversations over the long haul of you coming by and checking on me, and I feel I could tell you this, and you can take it and teach other people with it. Mike, your people get so emotional, and they don't understand how to play possum, if you will, to psychologically win a war. And I didn't get offended because I wanted to know where he was going. I never really got offended when someone said something that's shocking to the conscience because I know they're going somewhere with it. And he was like, Mike, I love being me. I love the fact that I'm Asian and people stereotype me. And he plays that. He doesn't speak like that, but he plays that because people think that's what he's going to do. Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry. And he plays that. Why? Because if I can psychologically weaken your ability to mount any kind of attack on me because you think I'm inferior, I have now put you in a mental space where when I do what I do, you least expected because I gave off the appearance of yielding control to you. Those of you who follow me, you often hear me talking about and I'm sitting at right now a circular table, and I love imagery. And I see that we're sitting at this table called America. And by the way, no one making your ass stay here. How about that? If you fucking hate America, I'm going to double down on everybody else. Get the fuck out. Okay? Go. Just go someplace. But I challenge you that before you do, find a place. Find a place where there has been equality. Find a country where there is equality. That's a good thought. We want everything to be so equal, and I understand the desire, but has there ever been a country where everything is equal? And how has that worked? And why are you not there? Moving on. I just look at it like this. When we begin to focus on us as a people and what, if anything, we can do from the lessons that have been put before us, then we can begin to see, yeah, I said the same thing. Good luck finding that. When we begin to look at these lessons, not just from black folks, but from white folks, from other people too. Somebody sent me a book called When White People Were Slaves. I'm going to bring that book. I'm going to read that book, and I'm going to look at some interesting points in that book. Because, the Irish were treated like crap too. You say what? Not change, no. Not change. No. Not that kind of change. But there are different forms of slavery too. And I want to learn from another side of how they feel. Because why have other people been able to make it and we have not? Or have we? We got a lot of successful black stories. So what makes them more successful in essence? What made them different? Oftentimes people ask me that, well, Mike, you obviously wasn't born, in poverty. You weren't born in fucked up conditions and things like that because of the way you talk, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself. I'm like, no, fool, I was born in the same shit you were born in. The only difference that made it possible for me, I got my ass whipped all the time by my mom. I was born in a bunch of crap, but I guess the desire to not want to be that thing, the desire, and I really give a lot of praise to my grandmother because, she's a Vietnam veteran. I mean, shit, you want to talk about going through the civil rights movement? I am my grandmother. Because she just didn't get me to focus on race. She just didn't get me to focus on that. She didn't even get me to focus on that. She got me to focus on character. She got me to focus on how a person treats you. She told me about the stories that she went through and how she overcame them. That was the focus of how my grandmother raised me. Now, granted, there was some things I did not learn, some things I could have learned. But what she did teach me and what I did learn, those are the type of lessons that push you past when someone wants to throw oppression and racism in your face. I look at my Hispanic friends who have great families. And I asked them, how? And that's those of y'all who've been in my class and you heard me do the $10 analogy. That's where I got that from. Well, Mike, if you put 10 of us in a house and 10 of us are making $10 an hour, that's $100 an hour. That's simple mathematics. And then you times that by 8, that's 800. You times that by 5. You times that by 2. Shit, we didn't pay for that. We didn't pay the rent in the house where we live in 2 days. And we can still sit there and file as though we're not making enough because individually within ourselves, we are poor, but collectively we are rich. Now, we got problems in our barrio. We got problems in our community, but we solve that shit a little bit differently. And we do the shitty jobs you may not want to do. Ew, who wants to clean the toilet? I want to be the boss of the building. How the fuck? There's lessons that we need to learn. There's lessons that we need to learn. I'm going to engage you, take these few minutes to engage you all in the comments. Many black experts or expats have found, this is Adrian Anderson, many black experts have found great lives in other countries. A lot can't afford to pick up and go, but it can be done successfully. Check out the Black Expat FB groups. There are issues no matter where you go. It depends on who you are and what you're willing to put up with. There we go. Say less. If you think they don't have it hard there, they have it hard there. They have it hard there. They have it hard there too. They have it hard there. They have it hard there too. Okay. Yes, any group of people that depend on the government welfare program makes slaves out of all people. Say less. Didn't I just sit here and say, you want to go to war, but we ain't got rid of welfare? Didn't I just sit here and say that? I'm sorry. I'm not talking about anybody who's had to use it to springboard or anybody that has had to use it because you were in a pinch. I'm talking about this generational shit. There's virtue in hard work. And I'm not casting my morality off on you. Fuck it. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you can't depend on the government if you're going to war against it, dumbass. You're going against the very thing that's causing you to be able to feed yourself, fool. That's the one program that never gets defunded. They talk about defunding Social Security. Now they're talking about defunding the police, which will never happen by and large. Keep trying, though. You're going to get Democratic cities that's going to do it first. Republicans are not going. Conservatives are not going. They give a fuck what you say. They're not defunding law enforcement. They may increase the funds. But you know, this welfare never gets talked about being defunded or putting a cap on it. They never talk about that. Shouts out to Brian Lamar, who got so triggered he sent 1,200 stars. And he wants Herbin too. You know Herbin too was going to talk about this for sure. Those are my buddies. Differences of opinion. Shouts out to Herb, Howard, and Tucson Warner. I said what I said only on What's in It for the Black People Media Network. I'm just saying. We got to be willing to support. We got to be willing to heal. Parents, you knew I was coming back to this. Some of us are exactly what's on my book. Stuck in fuck. Stuck in fuck. The aftermath of after ass. How to unfuck your parental past. Keep telling yourself your baby daddy ain't shit without talking about how you were to fly. Yeah. Keep blaming your problems on your of your parentage on someone else and not focusing on yourself. Let's keep doing that because that's the way to build unity, right? Parents, don't tell your children about your past to save them from a past. Don't do that because that's what some others do, right? because you've been right throughout your entire parentage and you have not made not one mistake that made it possible for your children to be who and what they are. The decisions that they have made have mirrored, or in fact have been worse than the decisions that you have made when you were younger and you knew they were going down that road and you didn't stop them from going down that road because you didn't want to embarrass yourself because you were so concerned about how your children see you instead of how you should be raising them. But you ready for war. Keep telling your child they can be anything they want to be when they believe they can be whatever they want to be. And it's like, okay, well, in order for you to be what you want to be, you have to be what you need to be. Because if you aren't what you need to be, you can't be what you want to be. Yeah, keep lying to your kids. Well, we did the best that we could, but he just never made something of himself. Right? We got to be better parents. We got to be better people. No matter what happens in this election, whether Donald Trump wins or whether Joe Biden wins, if you're stuck in fuck, you'll still be stuck in a deeper fuck than the fuck that you're in now until you unfuck the fuck that you're stuck in. I'm not going to say that again. I might say it again, Sonia. No matter who wins the presidency, how does that affect your four walls? Donald Trump don't even know your name. And I remember when Trump first became president and just watching Maze Jackson's show, anytime someone tried to go to the table to ask something of the president, Black America gave them shit. But you want something from this president when you don't go and ask. Yet and still, you gave Barack Obama 8 years of the presidency and didn't take your ass to the table and ask of him anything because you thought because he was black, he should have already known. You want to talk about the hypocrisy of politics? President Obama was against the LGBT movement and against same-sex marriage, but flipped the script when he became president and gave them more than we even got. But now you want to talk about Trump. And I'm not for or against either president. I'm just talking facts. You don't have to believe me. I don't give a shit. It is what it is. We got to find a better way. You worried about shit at the national level, and we don't even hold our local leaders accountable for the things that they do. I bet you if the rioters were to strategically target the government offices of the representatives, the senators, and the aldermen, unless the demands of the people were met, I guarantee you shit would move just a little bit differently. And I'm not suggesting that's what should happen, but I'm just talking about strategic action. But don't say that, though, because you're ready for war against the wrong people. And Constance Foster, I get it. Trump will never get your vote. He's not counting on it. He's not counting on it, fool. You actually thought that President Donald John Trump was counting on your vote? He's not counting on your vote. He's not counting on your vote no more than Lori Lightfoot was counting on your vote. Lori Lightfoot wasn't expected to win. She snuck in, fool, because she went to her base. She went to the LGBT community, because the one thing about that community is there's black gays, there's white gays, there's Jew gays, there's straight gays. I said straight gays, you heard me. She strategically came to us last. You ain't even spotting game when it's in your face. Come on, man. This is a game of chess, not checkers, fool. Nothing against Willie Wilson running for senator. If he wins, great. If not, that's fine. Look, he gonna be. Look, y'all got. I'm gonna get off that because keep going. Yeah. Come on, man. Symbolism. Now you wonder why Lori's not doing anything for. That wasn't her base. And then when she got into office, she forgot, hey, I still got to keep these folks happy. So when the riots happened, you let downtown go up for grabs. Fool, that was a part of your base. That was a part of the Mag Mile. The Mag Mile isn't safe. I remember doing my childhood where even the gangs knew when Richard M. Daley was mayor. Downtown was off limits. You couldn't take your ass downtown and try that shit, or the TAC teams in the districts. You think you got a Hank? This is my city. You would have that. You couldn't take your ass downtown and cut. That was the neutral zone. You could really go downtown and enjoy yourself. Now it's just up for grabs. Cuss T.T. Lori can't even plan a family reunion well. So no wonder shit's going awry. I'm just saying. You got to do better. We got to do better. We got to do better. All right, don't go anywhere. We're going to come back with a rebroadcast of Triggered. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
WIFTVPM.
Funeral expenses are costly. The Casket Store wants to help you save hundreds of dollars. You do not have to purchase a casket from the funeral home. Call now for a free in-home consultation. Call 773-445-6900. 773-445-6900.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
What's up, good people? You're listening to I Said What I Said with Tucson Warner and Herb Howard. You'll never breed a warrior. Mm-hmm.
Warriors, come out to play.
Shh, you hear that?
And that's what's happening at every angle. They're creating paradigms where we can only raise feminine men. Whether they're homosexual or not, they feminine as shit.
Sure, because all masculinity is toxic.
All masculinity is toxic in a war-torn society where the dominant society is saying to your ass, we don't never want no warriors.
Right.
You bastards.
Any book you've ever read, you can read the Bible, goddammit. When they go and they destroy some shit, they kill all the boy babies.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even want you growing up to think you're going to do some shit to me.
Animals do the same thing. If I come over here and I take over this village now or whatever, like this going to be my pride. First thing I'm doing, killing the male boys, like killing the male babies.
Don't you even grow up with that attitude,
Don't you
little
even think about it.
Yeah,
okay?
bitch. Yeah.
Right. You ain't my daddy, you damn right I ain't your daddy. Fuck your fort, little nigga.
Fuck your fort. Oh man, I hate that I laugh at this shit in public.
That's real.
I hate that I laugh at this stuff in public.
That's real though, right? Tucson Warner and Herb Howard live on What's in It for the Black People Media, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Is it really a good idea to have the same senator for 3 generations? I support term limit for all elected officials. Our senators need to bring home growth for our business community, jobs, housing, service for our senior citizens, and health care. We need new ideas and new approach to federal representation. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Vote for me and send me to Washington, D.C. God bless.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
WIFTVPM.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio.
And so, my fellow Americans, I have a dream.
You're listening to Triggered.
You want to crown him? Then crown her in. I ain't scared of you, mother.
The one and only
Mike Brown. Mike Brown.
My calculations are correct.
Let's begin.
We're back. We're back with I almost forgot the name of the doggone show. I almost said something else. We're back with Trigger with Instructor Mike. I'm your host, Instructor Mike. All right, let's go on ahead right into it. So, Tucson said something that was very, very, very important, and I appreciate you for saying that. I had that contract, and I'm assuming we're talking about registering people to sign up for the police test. I had that contract. I registered 36,000 black folk in roughly 8 months. You would not believe how many of them got weeded out. Actually, I would. I've been a part of the administrative process of selecting who gets to the next level, interviews and stuff like that, doing background checks and stuff like that as a part of internal affairs. And so this is where, here we go. This is where, now, let's talk about one half of that. There is a half of that where they do get weeded out because they just don't want enough or a large degree of black folks to become police. That's the racist aspect of the criminal justice system. So I will, and it's not even an admission, I would just state that you don't need Mike Brown to tell you that. You already believe that anyway, and that's actually what it is. The reason why that is what it is, I cannot answer that because that's never really taught or told to me. We could say that, if in fact it is true that J. Edgar Hoover said that the thing that I guess is a quote in essence, I'm going to paraphrase it, one of the greatest threats to American democracy in essence is black unity. I could see if in fact that is the case, why you may not want a great degree of black police officers, on the police department. I don't agree with that, but I can understand where that comes from. Understanding and acceptance are not the same thing. Okay. Secondly, there's a other half of that where it is certain things in our backgrounds become reasons why they check us out. They put us out of the running. Okay. Doesn't make it right because then when you have white counterparts or other people that go through the very same thing, they don't get checked out of that running too. Okay. So one of the things is, you said minority police recruitment. Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the things is that, when we get our children mental services except therapy, or we don't have them to have someone to talk to where we can try to get to a better resolution. Remember, I was talking about all the stuff about childhood, child raising, and, coming to terms with your issues to help your children become better with theirs. When we avoid that and then we get them into mental health services, I want you to understand what mental health services does to your ability to be able to carry a gun, because it's not just going around and serving the community by being that body and responding to that call. You also have to be physically fit. Now physically fit to get the job. That don't mean physically fit for you to stay in the job, because you can come in shape and come out a shape. You get what I'm saying? Come in wanting to eat donuts and come out a donut with an extra bit of glaze because you've been working too long. I get it, whatever, fat cop jokes. But, they have to be in shape. So our health is very important. We have to be in mental shape too, and in mental health. And so some of the psychological tests that we go through, if we're children of trauma, it affects how we respond to these questions as well. Okay. Now, some of you can say that's bullshit, but if you've never been a part of the testing process, or you don't know what the test is made up of, right? They know the things that we are affected by. And if they know the things that we are affected by, they know how to build the test around that thing. That's the game. That's what it is. And so our job and our duty is, in essence, if we want more public servants, if we want more people a part of the system to help bring the change to the system, then we need to be good stewards of our upbringing of the future into this thing called the system. And that is where there tends to be a problem, where we're not focusing on that too, because try as you might, you could be a good person, but maybe not a good person for law enforcement. And certain activities and certain things are proclivities, if you will, or certain activities are indicators of the possibility, not the certainty, but the possibility for wrongdoing. And so you already know they're going to be harder on us. You know this. You already know this. So while you whooping that kid's ass, you could be whooping a future police officer's ass, but he ain't gonna want to be the police because you done fucked his childhood up and his desire to want to help others. And so now he ends up going to the, you guessed it, streets. I'm just saying, okay? That's one part of it too. And so if we look at that, and we also look at scholastic testing too, right? Remember that home environment that you didn't create for your child to want to come home and to learn, because instead of getting them the help, that's that new math. So just go ahead and look it on YouTube. You'll figure it out. Yeah, well, that type of shit right there, that's that new math, that Common Core, right? And so instead of helping them try to figure out how to get this done so that you both can work on the inadequacies together, what happens? They begin to lack in their studies and they begin to fail. So as they begin to lack and they begin to fail in their studies, these tests are built for more mentally and scholastically sound persons, where your child may know that 2 + 2 is 4, but that's not what this test is about. This test is about something else, that while his heart may be in the right place, or her heart may be in the right place, her mind may not necessarily be in the right place. And so what happens is, this is why when I hear about the school to prison pipeline, but then when I look at the numbers of our children who are not making the honor roll, you see what I'm saying? And yeah, Tucson, you said I took the psychological examination, biased as fuck. Now, I don't know what your intellectual level is, Tucson. I'm not going to say you're, whatever the case. I don't know. I wasn't in the room. I don't, but I can tell you this. I'm pretty smart and stupid. You know what I'm saying? I'm smart and stupid, right? I'm smart about some things. I'm stupid on others. And doesn't mean I am a stupid person, but I'm honest about what I don't know. I hate math. I hate it, but I love it in the same breath too, right? You get it? Some people can talk about algebra. Don't come to me with algebraic equations and the harder. I hated stats. I passed it. I had to as a part of my master's program, but I hated stats, and that's why I took it. I wanted to tackle it. The C was good enough for me. That was it. So, just... We have to be honest about some of these things. And so that's where, remember when I was talking about, Tucson, and the rest of you all watching, remember when I was talking about that, come on, Mike, damn it, I can be anything I want to be, and how bad that may be for a child's development, in essence, that I need to make myself what I need to be in order to make myself what I want to be. Well, in order to be good at this particular thing, in terms of law enforcement or any type of topic, there are certain things that you need to have. And so that's what I did when I wrote this book. It's a perfect segue. I couldn't, and Tiger loves stats. I'm not surprised. Shouts out to Tiger Lily. Here we go. That's what I wrote, what I tell myself about talent. Okay. What I tell myself about talent, the very things that children do now that could form the very basis of the things that they may want to do when they get older, such as, I got one thing in the book, cut grass, shovel snow, lemonade stand, snow cones, candy bags, gummy chews. What can I be to you? Some of y'all like resourceful, entrepreneur, everything. If you can do all that and you can master that, you can be everything. We have a duty and a responsibility to guide our children in as much as we can down towards thinking about the pathways of what they need to be. Now, some of y'all are like, children are fickle. One day they want to be the police. Next thing they want to be a firefighter. Next thing they want to be an astronaut. Next thing they want to be this. Well, all of those things are, in the ballpark of public service. So, in order, to be in public service, you probably need to tell them about, being kind and interpersonal relationships and being who they need to be so they can make the proper choices. Because do you think Barack Obama would have been the president of the United States had he had a ruthless ass baby mama that came out and talked about a domestic violence event where he got an order of protection against him because he slapped him because she sat there and talked about Michelle and talked about his mama and how she's white and how he's black and how he's from Africa but don't speak the language, Umumbutu, and next thing you know, he done whooped ass. You think Barack Obama would have been president had it been a vicious ass baby mama that would have came outside and said that, and he owned pit bull puppies and used to kill them and barbecue them in Hawaii? Do you think he would have been president? Hell no. They would have had a field day on that shit. And Cat Williams made a wonderful joke about that. You couldn't find a vicious ass pit bull puppy or angry ass baby mama. There are certain things that we blacks have to even be able to be better than white counterparts, to even be able to get the basic ass job. I'll give you a Todd Stroger. Do you think a Todd Stroger, shouts out to Todd, brother Todd, you think a Todd Stroger would have been able to be whatever he was, from state rep to, alderman? I think if he was an alderman, alderman or a doggone county board president, if a vicious ass baby mama would have sat there and said Nerd Urkel came out there and smacked me in the face because I smacked his glasses and choked me and almost killed me and did a O.J. Simpson on me, we would have never heard the likes of a Todd Stroger. Never. Not a nan, no nutter. I don't care how powerful his daddy was. Okay? So what I'm saying is, parents, you are responsible for creating the type of childhood, in essence. And I love Todd. Todd and I don't agree on everything, but I love him. But it's talk facts, right? Right? We are responsible as parents to do what we have to do to create the environment that makes the future doctors, the future lawyers, that you get it, Tucson. I ain't saying we can't have pit bull puppies. You mean what I'm saying. It's a joke. Anyway. But, you know, there is a saying that for everything a white person does, a black person has to excel at that 10 times greater to even be able to compete. It may be messed up, but I do have to say, like, me as a firearms instructor and having the social media profile that I have, you know I can't be out here messing up gun talk and stuff like that. The minute I mess up something in the 2A community, the 2A community will come down on my ass. So there's certain things that we have to do to set our children up for the things that they want to be, or otherwise the traumas that we depart or we impart within them could set the course on creating those barriers to what they really desire that they want to be. You got some people can't even own a firearm right now because of their juvenile record when they was out there being badass little kids. Well, that little badass shit in your encounters with the police department is coming back to haunt you in your adult life. We got a duty and a responsibility, and if we don't sit there and take that responsibility and do what we're supposed to do and help save our children, we're fucking our future. We'll be right back.
WIFTVPN. Introducing your trusted source for high-quality black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today. WIFTVPN. WIFTVPN.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio.
And so, my fellow Americans, I have a dream.
You're listening to Trigger.
You want to crown him? Then crown her ass. I ain't scared of you, mother.
The one and only
Mike Brown. Mike Brown.
My calculations are correct.
Let's begin.
All right, what's going on? We're back. All right, I'm going to go on ahead and continue right in. We're talking about just setting up our kids for, more success. And we're going to end this show with this. I'm going to read your comment come in prior. I hear you, Mike, and I've run into some cops that were cool, but growing up, I ran into quite a few that completely violated my rights as if being a resident, I actually had any. And he's referring to the Dred Scott decision by the Supreme Court, where they determined that Dred Scott, a free black man, had no standing or had no rights and thus could not continue his case in the Supreme Court. How many people even know about that decision, right? I'm just saying, let's learn the law. But continuing with your comment, I used to work in the Gold Coast and was pulled over every week with no probable cause. I'm lucky to be alive. These cats were obviously profiling Border Patrol to wrangle the N-words, niggas, coming over from Cabrini. What psychological profile did these guys go through except their father was a cop? And I do agree. I don't agree with it, but I do agree with what you're saying about patronage being the thing that caused certain people to actually be the police, and that does happen. But I also know some black people who got on because their father was a cop, stuff like that. So I totally agree. No one is saying the system is fair. You have never heard me say, and if you've heard me say that, throw it back in my face, please. But you have never heard me say that the system was fair. You never heard me say that. Racism is built within it. That's a part of it, right? But those are the cards that you're dealt. That's the deck. So what are you going to do? Stop applying? That's where I'm getting at. Tucson, you said you registered 36,000 in 8 months. When they were weeded out, did they stop applying for police just in general? You know, if you stop applying for, or if you don't get hired by one police department, you know you can go on ahead and apply for another department, right? No, man, I don't want to do that. Well, then you gave up. You gave up. And that's part of it, too. Rejection. Not understanding that no doesn't necessarily mean no. It means next opportunity. The no can save you from dangers that you don't see. But that no also means next opportunity. What makes you think this station, this media outlet is even possible? Because someone was told a no, or someone was told not to do a certain thing. And someone said, fuck that. I got shit to say. And that's where we have What's in it for the Black People Media Network. Right? So do you stop it? Black Wall Street burned down. Bam. Do we stop? And that becomes part of the problem. We have stopped. How do you come from kings and queens and not think that every day you have to pay the fucking rent? How do you come from kings and queens and think not every day you ain't gonna be tried? How do you sit there and have this thing called faith, whatever that is, and think that your faith is not gonna be tested? Where do they do that at? Where is it that is done? In essence, where they do that at? You're going to be tried. You're going to be tested every doggone day. Success is not owned, it's leased. You got to pay the rent every doggone day. Don't tell me about how the shit is hard. Anything worth having is worth working for. And you're talking about psychological tests. So what, you don't pass that one, go to the next one. Keep passing. That failing is a matter of passage, if you will. It's passing your ass onto the department that you need to be on. Passing yourself to the place where you need to be in life. Some people can't even fail and think that I'm sorry, that is just a problem to me. That's a mindset thing. That's a mindset thing. The fuck? You think you're going to pass everything? Come on now. And our egos become so closely connected to our work that when we think it's the best work yet, someone sits here and tells you, I don't like this shit. You can do better. And our egos become so bruised. I know. I ain't gonna lie. Erykah Badu even said it. I'm an artist, so I'm sensitive about my shit. Well, I'm an author. I'm sensitive about my stuff too. Right? I'm a musician. I'm sensitive about my stuff. Sometimes your best just isn't good enough. You need to keep on trying, keep on going. And it sucks that we got to, does it suck? I don't want to say that. I guess it sucks that we have to keep on trying, keep on working hard. Why can't we have it easier? Why can't we have it given to us? But I like the fact that I have to work harder to get my shit, because that means when I get it, I'm going to appreciate it. I love it. I like the fact that I got to work harder than everybody else. Man, please, if you ain't gonna tell me I don't have stories to tell. You ain't gonna tell me I don't have lessons to teach. Because just because that person gets it easier doesn't mean they're gonna handle it well. That doesn't mean they're gonna handle it well. So what are you gonna do? Right? How could you sit here and have that mindset, but sit here and support this very network, which is the essence of being told no, which is the essence of opportunity denied, and somebody saying, fuck that, I'm going to do it my own self. That's what I'm talking about. Whether I agree with everything May said, I will always honor and respect him, because he ain't got time to be sitting here and sitting around and waiting for a fucking opportunity when he has the intellect to be able to create his own, if not for his experience that made this possible. And I can relate to that. Sometimes when you get on a job, sometimes when you get on a job and you sit here and you're making $10 an hour, you want to give $10 worth of service. Fuck that. I'm making $10 an hour and I'm giving $90,000 worth of service. Why? Because a person with an entrepreneurial mindset, I'm understanding that while I may be doing something for you and for yours, I am working to learn and I'm getting free on the job training for my future when I decide that I'm going to do what I need to do when someone tells me no. I remember the time that I was the battalion commander's driver. I remember the time when I was the guidon bearer. I remember the time that I was doing all the other stuff that I was told I was a kiss ass and I was a sycophant and I was this and I was that. All of those skills enabled me to where when someone told me no, I was able to take all that free shit that you all want to get paid. You want a $20 an hour paycheck when you a $10 an hour fool. You don't even want to do what you supposed to do to get that free training, to step in and say, as it says in the book of Isaiah, here I am, send me. You won't even volunteer for the extra stuff that'll make you able to be a king when somebody denies you of that opportunity, but you want an opportunity when you get denied. Where is it they do that shit at? You want to be a CEO, but you can't even clean the toilet. Come on now. You want somebody to take your shit, but you can't even smell it. You want to talk about death, but don't want to do what you need to do to make sure that there's life within you. And then in the midst of that, when somebody sells you racism and sells you all this other stuff, you want to complain about the shit and then get high so they can pass all kind of legislation right over your high ass. But here's a bag of Cheetos. I'm just telling you. I don't mean we don't get to have a good time. Hell yeah, we get to have a good time. But can we afford to lack? Can we afford to sleep? Can we afford to do that? Can we afford to do that? Come on, man. We can't afford to do that. And that's part of the conversation that we need to have. I'm sitting here looking online, looking at the last black invention. Why is it the last date that I see is in 74? Now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember a time where invention, year after year, invention after invention, invention after invention, we see more and more and more and more inventions, more and more and more and more inventions. But all of a sudden, now we get access to that shit. We just stop inventing shit like we don't need shit because now we get access to that shit. Come on, miss me on that. We got things we need to still keep doing. We need to still keep doing. We need to still keep trying, still keep working, still keep listening to those, still keep listening and looking at the failures of other people and learning. Still keep doing after action reviews. Y'all mad at Breonna Taylor and didn't even catch the mad at what happened at Breonna Taylor and didn't even catch the doggone lesson. Y'all mad at all this other stuff. You didn't even catch the lessons of what took place. You didn't do any after action reviews. We still haven't even talked and even sat the parents down. Parents, you still haven't even admitted where you fucked up in your parenting that made your child do the things that they do. You still, well, they got their own house. They got their own car. They're doing good. No, that's just materialism, fool. That's a false sense of security. When they lose that shit, they're going to come back to you because they don't. Come on, man. We got to start doing the right doggone thing to build our village up, or children of the future will continuously burn our village down to feel the warmth. That is not just a proverb. It is the fucking truth. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. We got to do better, and we can do better. And I'm going to keep on triggering you. I'm going to keep on doing that shit. Because until we recognize where we need to work on us, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I see what you're saying, L. Sherry Chapman. You said we're still inventing. We just aren't protecting our intellectual property. We got to do better with the legalese. I agree, Chapman. Because look at what happened with Nick Cannon. Look at what happened with Nick Cannon, right? All of a sudden, Viacom wants to take him off the air. He doesn't even own intellectual rights to the doggone his own show. Come on, man. You said that's a lie, bro. We're Paramount and the Internet, Super Soaker, Answering Machine. Those were after 74, and that's off the top of the head. Okay, good. Super Soaker. Who you know black still playing with Super Soaker? Right. Come on, Answering Machine. Who you know still doing the doggone Answering Machine? I haven't gone to Radio Shack and got my tapes. You got tapes? Now, Internet, I agree. But you got to agree with this, Tucson, too, that there are not as many inventions as there need to be. You got to admit that. You got to admit that off the top of my head. You got to admit that. we have stopped trying as much as we used to when death was around the corner. When death was around the corner. When death was around the corner. You got to admit that. When death was real, when you could walk your ass outside on freaking 2900 South Michigan and see one of your friends hanging from the fucking tree, that's when we started to die to actually fight for our rights, because death was right there in front of us. Now we want to manufacture a condition of death when it may not be. We got to do better. All right, till the next episode of Triggered, I'm Instructor Mike, and you've been trained. You've been trained.
WIFTVPM.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media.
WIFTVPM. 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 WIFTV-PM.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
Introducing your trusted source for high-quality black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
Biggest threat to Illinois citizens from Washington is health care costs and policies. Senior citizens have their Social Security reduced from Medicaid, and some of our senior citizens live off $3 a week for food allowance. Working families are facing bankruptcy over policy and limit and cost. Drug prices require decisions between food and Medicaid. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Vote for me and send me to Washington. God bless.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
Funeral expenses are costly. The Casket Store wants to help you save hundreds of dollars. You do not have to purchase a casket from the funeral home. Call now for a free in-home consultation. Call 773-445-6900. 773-445-6900.
WIFTV-PM.
That means you're back on the soil with the bigs. I'm your man T, coming to you live from the West End for Black People Media Studios. What's going on with you today, partner?
In the words of Cousin 2, blessed and highly favored, brother. Always glad to be here with my player partner T Tom, Esco, Mays Jackson, and the What's in It for the Black People Media family, man. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in on the soil, rocking with the bigs. We appreciate you more than you know.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. Happy October to everybody out there getting a new month kicked off with the bigs. And it's a big October baseball day. I'm sure we got some news coming from Gene as far as the Cubs game. But the White Sox are getting ready for a Game 3 versus the Oakland A's. It's an elimination game. Do or die. Win or go home. You know what I mean? That's what you asked for in the playoffs, man. We're looking forward to that one coming up soon at 2 o'clock. We'll see if the White Sox can move on. But we got plenty to talk about. One of our family members coming up in the 2 o'clock hour, Cameron Smith from MSG Networks, coming on to talk NBA Finals and Bulls basketball with us.
Killer Cam.
Gino, man, talk to the people. Let these people know. I seen some Go Cubs.
Yeah, I saw some Packers and St. Louis Cardinals trash floating on our timeline, man. I don't know who that was. I think it's Marvin Bell. Hey, Marvin, man, we love you, family.
That must be one of Mike Love's homies. I know Mike Love done infiltrated the system.
Mike Love,
and got Packers fans. Y'all ain't from Milwaukee.
Mike Love catching the mouth shot when we walk in.
I see your people showing up for you, Mike. We may have to talk about that.
No love for any team outside of Chicago, bro. Period.
Hey, Chicago or nothing over here, right?
Chicago or nothing. We may be stinking it up right now. Well, we do have 2 teams in the playoffs and a 3-0 football team. But
things are going good.
Chicago sports since 2016 have been overall Huff. So I will agree with that. But we're the only guys that only Chicago people can slander Chicago sports, man.
Oh, I take that. You definitely got to be from Chicago to talk about it. And we definitely do that here on the soil. Gino, man, we was getting ready for a Cubs game. What's going on with that?
Ooh, the baseball guys, they come in all.
First of all, bro, the baseball guys are always on your side. I got to tell y'all real quick, we were preparing for Eugene to be at Wrigley Field broadcasting live.
Right.
There is no game today.
I was ready. I had my hate text ready to hit send.
Yeah, we was about to put y'all behind the scenes at Wrigley for the show today, but Mother Nature has something else in mind. The game is postponed due to weather, and Game 2 is pushed back till tomorrow.
Tomorrow, same time, same channel, same everything. Do or die for the Cubs. A must win. But look, man, I did a behind the scenes video just for Esco yesterday. But since the baseball guys looked out for the God, I can go back. I looked at the footage last night. It was decent. I wish I had a GoPro or something because I think that would fit better. Or if we had a cameraman and I could allow a cameraman to come in and follow me, it would be much sweeter. But I had to hold it down like the one-man band I am when you ain't around. So the footage was cool. I could have made something of it. But now that we get to go back tomorrow, I think I can one-up what I did yesterday.
Tell Javi I said hi.
Man, Javi needs to see a pretty face like yours because he got to get it going.
Yeah, hey, the guys definitely got to get it going. Game 1 obviously didn't go how you wanted it to go, how Cubs fans wanted it to go. The Marlins got in and got out with a W. And like you said, it's do or die, man. Both teams are facing elimination. The Cubs got, if they win today, it goes 3. But we've already seen 2 teams go down in 2 games. We know that, your season can be over the blink of an eye at this point of the season,
It's the beauty of baseball, man. That's why this is the most beautiful game in all the sports. Due to the pandemic and the COVID-19 and everything that's going on, Major League Baseball extended the amount of teams that they let in the playoffs this year.
So they bust the door open for playoff teams. It's like, okay, since it's 60 games, we'll let more of y'all in.
Yeah, and it's usually the wild card is usually 1 game. So they looked out a little bit more and made it the best 2 or 3. So, you got a chance like the Cubs. They jagged yesterday. They were supposed to they got a good 6.2 innings from Kyle Hendricks. I think David Ross may have left him in a little bit longer than he should have. But he didn't get any help. It's like that. If you read the piece I dropped, Wicks was tripping, man. Shout out to T. He was on the line with Wicks at the wee hours of the morning trying to get our website right. I wrote up a piece. It was time for us to get back to the writing, so I wrote up a piece. Couldn't put it out on the website, so I let it ride on Facebook today. So if you peep the piece on Facebook, it's the same old Cubs offense that we've come to know very well over the last 3 to 4 years. And I wasn't surprised yesterday. Ian Happ got the Cubs on the board first with a 5th inning solo home run to give them a 1-0 lead, but it was nothing after that. 0 for 4 from Rizzo, 0 for 4 from Chris Bryant, 0 for 2 for Schwarber, 0 for 4 for Jay Hay. 2 for 29 for the rest of the lineup outside of Ian Happ. So if the Cubs are going to look to make it a Game 3, the offensive output is going to have to be so much better than it was yesterday. But the best thing they got going for them, like Kyle Hendricks said, we got the guy that we want on the mound for Game 2. So
Yu Darvish going to Game 2. But I like what you said in the piece. You had a line that said, now ain't the time to be trying to get your offense going. You know what I mean? And I feel like both sides of town have learned early on in this playoffs that, you can't just change your identity overnight, just because it's the playoffs. The White Sox had a game in Game 2 where it started off, I got a lot of texts from the guys saying, the typical White Sox offense, power outage. They were down 5-0 going into the 7th, ended up putting the 3 spot on the board in the next inning and put some pressure on them. The A's put their closer in, and we ended up beating them up. He threw like 49 pitches.
And I think that's going to be the key today because if they got to get to that bullpen, that guy definitely threw his whole wide out yesterday. And the way y'all kept it moving on him in that 9th, that's a good sign.
Hey, the stage is set for both teams. But first, definitely got a shout out to everybody tuned in. Gino, let them know what the rules are when you tune into the Bigs.
Please, I got my personal Facebook page going. I think T has his. We advise everyone to please go to the Mays Jackson page, Facebook, YouTube, and wherever else we stream it at. Go there so you guys can smash that like button, smash that comment button, smash that share button. And man, at the bottom of the screen, there are gold stars. So
stars are back.
The stars are back. So
they was away for a little bit, but they're right back for you guys to go crazy with them for the
go
Bigs.
And support the brothers, support the Bigs, man. Continue to help us push this content out. Continue to help us push the culture forward, and continue to help us put on for the What's in It for the Black People Media family, man. Send us some stars, 1 star, 10 stars, 100 stars, 1,000 stars, 10,000 stars for the ballers. I know we got a couple big ballers, LeVar Ball style, on our timeline. So send those stars, represent for the Bigs, but please smash that like button, smash that share button, and continue to join the conversation.
Definitely. Already got some from Mom. Shout out Miss McIntosh, Rodney Harris, Marvin Bell, DS. Frederick, thank you. Frederick, excuse me. Thank y'all for tuning into the Bigs. But Gino, let's go ahead and kick it off with a little bit of baseball talk as they get ready to watch the White Sox move on. Let's talk about the Cubs first, though, man. The game is postponed, but they were facing elimination. Yu Darvish is on the mound, like you said. What is the mood from this surrounding this team after they basically, like you said, laid an egg in Game 1? Do you think that they can push it to 3?
I definitely think they can push it to 3. Like Kyle Hendricks said, they definitely have the guy that they want on the mound for Game 2. Yu Darvish would have started Game 1, but David Ross said that he didn't want Kyle Hendricks getting the extra day of rest, throwing him off of his schedule. And he just felt like, giving Yu Darvish that extra day of rest instead of Kyle Hendricks would bowl better for the team. So, again, that was a game those guys should have won yesterday with any piece of offense. I think David Ross may have taken Kyle Hendricks out of the game earlier. But, Kyle Hendricks is a guy that we can depend on. We like I'm a manager or a coach.
I feel you, but it's the feeling. Yeah, we're together.
I'm using we. But it's like we've been able to depend on Kyle Hendricks to get himself out of many jams that he's gotten himself into. He's gotten himself out of them. So I think if the Cubs could have gotten him maybe 1 run or 2 more runs and they were up 3-0 instead of 1-0, I think David Ross may have pulled the plug early and gone to Jeremy Jeffress or whoever before Jeremy and Craig Kimbrell. But, it looked like it wouldn't have mattered the way Jeremy Jeffress came in and gave up a single and a home run immediately. So I just think that was a game that they let get by. And, in the famous words of Joe Madden, man, you got to just flush that one down the toilet. You come right back in less than 24 and do it again, man.
I think it's real generous to say that they let it go. You know what I mean?
They let it go, man. Go ahead.
When the Marlins, like we said, come in, they're not a bad team. They're one of the hotter teams in the league, and the offense just looked ready to go. You know what I mean? They took advantage of the Cubs' mistakes, and like you said, the number one issue with the Cubs has been putting runs on the board.
Same old team for the last 3 or 4 years, man.
And surviving the bullpen. None of that went in the Cubs' favor yesterday. So I kind of feel like this is who the Cubs are.
Oh, no doubt. There's no doubt about that.
They lost a lot of games that looked just like that game yesterday, man.
But like you said, as far as the piece goes, another thing that I mentioned in the article, when the Cubs are hitting the long ball, they're among the best teams in all of baseball.
Dangerous, for sure.
But when they're not, they're arguably the worst. No, not one of the worst. They're arguably the worst team in baseball. There is a lack of baseball 101 that's so evident, especially on the north side. I think in baseball as a whole, the fundamental game, situational hitting, all those type of things that we grew up knowing about baseball and learning the moving the runners along, stealing the base, buttons for a sacrifice flies. All those things are out of the window for the sake of entertainment, man. And I don't think that there's no doubt the game fundamentally, and as far as even the entertainment side of it, it's gotten worse because now you got guys, there's so many strikeouts. It's either a home run or a strikeout. There's no gray area. There's no in between. And I think the game of baseball is suffering overall. And don't forget, me and Sean Davis SD, we talked about this last night. They're kids watching this, man. They're not just watching because these guys are their heroes, but you trying to learn. When I was growing up, I watched Ken Griffey Jr., I watched Greg Maddux, I watched Dave Stewart, I watched my favorite players, Ricky Henderson. I watched them because of the entertainment factor, but I also watched what they did and how they did it and what I could take from it and implement it to my game as a growing kid into my teens and becoming the best baseball player I could be. So just watching the game and thinking about kids watching the sport, I feel sorry for them, man, because the game is definitely taking a step backwards.
I feel like kids don't even know that the game is taking a step backwards because they love the way this game is being played right now. You know, when you look at the Little League World Series, when they do the part where they say, oh, this is my favorite player, this is my favorite player, they all love the guys that hit the most home runs, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's something that hasn't changed most. It's always a few kids that say, oh, I like Javier Baez and, one of the shortstops, flashy players in the league.
Frankie Lindor.
Yeah,
now,
Francisco Lindor.
Now, you know a guy who is very entertaining to watch, but he's definitely a throwback. Mookie Betts. And we don't get to see a lot of Mookie Betts. You really have to hone in and stay up late and watch those late night games if you want to catch him in L.A. But
it's the reason that he got the contract he got.
Thank you, man. I mean? When you watch Mookie Betts, he's a guy that can hit 30 home runs in the season. But when there's a man on first, Mookie Betts can hit that ball in the gap and get that runner from first to home. Mookie Betts can steal a base without even thinking about it. I think there are only a few players in the game like that. Mookie Betts, Mike Trout. I think Fernando Tatis Jr. is one of those guys.
Purely. He's definitely one of those pure, do everything type players. You go for power, average.
I think Tim Anderson is growing to be that type of player.
He has the tools.
The tools, sure. So it's for me, like I told you the other day, my fandom, as far as like cheering for teams and rooting for teams, I mean, I'm still a huge fan of sports, but my fandom is taking a back seat. But also
So what? So what do you think is more important to you now? If it's not fandom,
I mean, I don't really care.
Is it just the quality of the game?
I mean, the quality of the game has fallen off. It fell off. And I just mean just us being inside now that we get to know the insides. And I mean, we've always known, being grown men, you know that these guys are the same. They put their pants on the same way you do. They do everything the same way you do. They just make 8 figures, and you make however many figures.
Man, I feel like you're on point, of course, as you usually are, because it was a moment in the White Sox game where you looked at Nick Madrigal, bro, cost the team a couple of runs, because Huff fundamentals on the base paths, fielding ground balls. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But like Gino says, we got to pay some bills, y'all. Let's jump into the first break. You're on the Sawyer with the Bigs.
WIFTBPM.
Introducing your trusted source for high-quality black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
Biggest threat to Illinois citizens from Washington is health care costs and policies. Senior citizens have their Social Security reduced from Medicaid, and some of our senior citizens live off $3 a week for food allowance. Working families are facing bankruptcy over policy and limit and costs. Drug prices require decisions between food and Medicaid. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Vote for me and send me to Washington. God bless.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove. Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
You're listening to The Bigs with Eugene McIntosh and Terrence Tomlin.
He's bare-chested, baby.
Right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
This is a traffic jam. Traffic jam. Traffic jam. Traffic jam. Traffic jam. Traffic jam. Traffic jam.
Welcome back, family. You're on the Sawyer with the Bigs, live from the What's in It for Black People Media Studios. Me and Gene were talking over the break about an interesting question. I feel like we need to propose it to the viewers right now. And it's, where do these organization and teams go as far as the Cubs and White Sox? What happens if they lose in the first round? Where do these organizations go? Because I feel like they're heading in different directions, and it's a different answer for both teams. So I want to start with your thoughts, bro. If the Cubs end up getting sent home by the Miami Marlins, Sonya, I'm not trying to take it there.
Apologize.
No, you don't apologize.
We gotta ask the question: where does this team go from that?
So the interesting thing to me is that every year the blame has gone somewhere else. 1 year is fire the pitching coach. 1 year is fire the hitting coach.
He gone.
1 year is fire the bench coach.
Got a new one.
Last year, it was Joe Madden's fault.
Joe is in LA now.
You know, Javier Baez was saying, sometimes we just show up to we don't show up to the field early enough. I'm just getting into the game during the fourth inning. It's like, so at some point, maybe it's the team. Maybe you need to shake that lineup up. We talk about this being the last year, those guys, the core group being together.
We've heard that all season, bro.
Hey. Maybe it needs to be the last season of these guys together. Because to be honest, I'm a huge Chris Bryant fan. We talked about it the other day with the audio. I don't give a shit. I'm a huge Javier Baez fan. But let's keep it real. Neither of those guys look like $200 million men right now. To be honest, Javi's only had one great year.
Whew. That's tough, because Javi is one of those players that you know he goes. He's so internally driven. You know what I mean? So like you said, if he ain't locking in to the fourth inning or whatever, this is, it's something going on with Javi. You know what I mean? I'm wondering, like, what's going on with him mentally, internally. Like, what's going on in that locker room, man? Like, and I know we don't get access to it now, but John Lester said something interesting, and was it the pregame Zooms this morning? He said his goodbyes, y'all. He was like,
"Oh, did he? I missed the Zoom this morning."
He's like, "If I don't get to see y'all again because we get bounced, I just want to let y'all know I love y'all." You know what I mean? That was basically his message. And I'm like, that's a different tune from what I'm used to the Cubs sounding like, or like the approach that they take to these type of games, because they usually have that never say die mentality. Oh, I'm going to see you again. Y'all don't worry. We're going to see you again. That's not what they sound like now, man. You know?
Hey, man, if you think about it, the Cubs core has lasted longer than most core players on a Major League Baseball team will last. You usually have a window of 2 to 3 years for a core of 5 to 6 players to be together like that. So maybe they've outdone themselves and maybe it's time for a rebuild. I mean, hey, man, sometimes these guys are who they are, man. You see, this is probably the last we've seen of Albert Almora Jr. Kyle Schwarber is who he is. I mean, all of these guys, they are who they are right now, man. Like you just talked about Javi. We gave Javi, if you guys didn't know, yes, the Bigs, we gave Javi the moniker El Mago. That's a story for another day. But
and we going to tell it too. Don't worry.
We're going to continue to tell it. But we are big Javi. I love Javi. I think he's still the most exciting player in the game when he's on top of his game. But he ain't on top of his game. Now, there's a lot. He said it many times this year. He said the fact that he can't make he can't make the in-game adjustments like he's used to because they are not allowed to look at the computers and look at the laptops. And
excuses.
And exactly, we're not giving him the benefit of the doubt of that. That's an excuse. And he did say, "Now I'm not using that as an excuse." But you mentioned it, so the media and your fans, they're gonna take it one way or the other, and that's how I took it. Like, hey, man, you got to adjust.
You know what's funny about being on this side of the sports world as far as covering the teams that we grew up loving and that a lot of people that we're around love? I get accused of not keeping it real.
You being called a hater.
Yeah, I get called a hater. They like, you a White Sox fan, you can't keep it real on the Cubs. And it's just not like that. Like Gene said on the last segment, my fandom has really taken a back seat.
Yeah.
Because I just look at it through a different lens, and I actually enjoy watching both teams. I don't want to tell you how mad it made Cubs fans when I told people during the first Cubs-White Sox crosstown series this season, that the Cubs might be closer to their next rebuild than they are to their next championship. That made Cubs fans think I was at their heads. And I'm like, look at what their problems are. They're the same problems that they had the last 3 to 4 years.
2017 when Dexter Fowler left, starting from the leadoff spot.
And they still don't have a leadoff. I'm looking at Billy Hamilton like, can't y'all just throw him at the top of the lineup just because y'all couldn't find a player like him?
I agree with you 100%. I just feel like, and I'm not David Ross. I know David Ross knows so much more baseball than I do, but I just feel like Kyle Schwarber should not be in left field. Kyle Schwarber should be a DH. He's still a threat at the plate. Anytime Schwarber steps into the dish, he's a threat. But left field, he should not be in left field. I agree with you, T. You signed Billy Hamilton for a reason. I mean, sometimes you can bring him in as that late game threat. If you need a run, you can pinch run him, pinch hit him, however you want to use him. But I think Rossi definitely needed to make an adjustment with Kyle Schwarber, in that outfield. I think Victor Caratini, he had a pretty good year last year, but I think I wouldn't say he fell off, but Victor Caratini is who he is. He's a great defensive catcher, but at the dish, he might just be okay. I would rather see a guy like Cameron Maybin. I would rather see Cameron Maybin at DH or Jason Kipnis, a guy who's got years under his belt, or anybody else. I don't know. Rossi's continued to shake the lineup up, but man, I just want to go back to Javi and really Javi, man, because again, I'm a huge fan of Javi.
What you got for El Mago, man?
I just think that he hasn't grown. I mean, you can use the not being able to make the adjustment in game with the laptop. You can use the not being able to draw the energy from the fans.
Okay. Is it he hasn't grown enough?
He hasn't grown at all.
Well, because that rookie season Javi, he's not the same Javi.
But the rookie season Javi was World Series Javi. 2018 Javi was the best Javi.
I'm talking about when
All-Star
after the ring.
Yeah, that was 2018 when he started. When the first year he started at short or second, and the next year he started at short.
It's certainly some things that he hasn't been able to learn, or habits he hasn't been able to break. You still just don't throw him a strike. You feel me? When Javier Baez is up, I'm throwing all balls.
Javi has the golf club out, man. Javi is looking to go yard at all time, and this goes back to what we said about, and it's not just him as far as situational hitting and driving there and manufacturing runs. It's the team as a whole, but Javi being, this supposed bright star. Javi is supposed to, by now, he's supposed to have made the adjustment. He's supposed to be able to cut his swing down and be able to just drive the ball to right center field, drop the ball over the second baseman's head. He has not made the adjustment. He's swinging for the fences at all times, and it's not looking good for him. And it's not boding well for the rest of the team.
I know he missed one yesterday that was just right in his wheelhouse that made you know it's like this. Javi is not himself right now. You feel me?
And like I'm reading, like Bundy said, my boy Bundo, he said there's a lot of shit going on outside of the game that could be affecting performances. And that's 100% true. There are a lot of guys around the league who normally have great performances. If you look at the back of their baseball cards after 162 games, the numbers are going to be the same as they usually are. But we can't use that as an excuse because everybody's
but that's totally an excuse. And what I feel like fans can't do is give him excuses. You know what I mean? It's probably some stuff going on off the field that may affect his performance, but that can't matter
at all.
You feel me? That's something that can't affect how he plays on the diamond. And like you said, Gene, you know what I mean? Maybe it's just time.
I ain't no in my eyes, it ain't no maybe, T, especially like you just said. It's 4 years in the making, man. At the end of the season, going into the playoffs, another back to the piece. If you see my food for thought at the bottom of the screen, the Cubs in their last 6 of their last postseason games, they've scored 1 run. You ain't winning no postseason game scoring 1 run, man.
Absolutely not. So, but who do you think survives? You know what I mean? Is Kyle Hendricks, the face of the pitching staff moving forward? Who is the face of the team? Is it going to be Rizzo by himself moving forward?
Great question.
I'm wondering who's going to survive the atomic blast if the Cubs somehow don't advance to the second round. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's not a necessary. You said rebuild. Maybe not necessarily a rebuild, but maybe just kind of a reload.
But see, now, those are the situations that just end up turning into rebuilds, and you ask yourself, should we have just started rebuilding all along? We tried to retool and reload, and it just didn't happen. You know what I mean? I'm still shooting blanks out here.
I just think there needs to be 1 or 2 hitters in that line. They tried it with Daniel Murphy that year.
Yeah.
Ben Zobrist was that guy.
Without question.
So I think that type of player is missing. And then, like you said, shout out to Ian Happ for surviving 2019 and coming back this year and showing and proving that he's a Major League Baseball player. But he's not a leadoff hitter, man. And I mean, back to what we said at the beginning, this is baseball 101 is how I grew up, man. Leadoff hitters bunt. They have they're probably the fastest guy on the team. They get dirty. They do the dirty work in order for the team to win. And right now, I couldn't even name a leadoff hitter back in the days of like Ricky Henderson.
Oh, no, you ain't even got to go that far back. There's no Johnny Damons in the league.
Damons, even Dexter Fowler, and Dexter Fowler wasn't the quintessential.
But he is one of the last of a dying breed.
Thank you. He knew how to play base. He knew baseball 101. And he's like, okay, if my team needs me to be a leadoff hitter, if I have to cut my swing down, because Dex could hit the ball 420 feet if he had to. But if I need to slap a ball in the gap, if they got a switch and I need to slap the ball to the left side of the field because ain't nobody over there, he could do that. There's no one on the Cubs team right now that can do that. Anthony Rizzo is probably the only guy, but he's your power hitter. You don't really want, and even Rizzo has had a down. The only Cubs this year that had productive seasons at the plate were Ian Happ, Jason Hayward.
With that said, on the other side of town, bro, if the White Sox somehow don't advance, and I should precursor that by saying I feel very good about a win today for the South Side. But we saw 2 AL Central teams go home last night. The Minnesota Twins, the Cleveland Indians. Don't matter anymore. 2020 closed the book on those guys. I feel like if the White Sox somehow stumble and don't get the W today and they take the L, then this is just the beginning of a continued rise to the top. You know what I mean?
I agree. I told you from the beginning, I think they exceeded expectations this year. This is one of those years where I thought next year would be the year where they made that leap. But like you always say, Hey, man, like Smokey said, take advantage. Because you never know. You just never know, man.
And to what you just said as far as the White Sox overachieving, if you would have asked me that 2 weeks ago, I would have said yeah. But based on the way they ended the season, I feel like they dropped back down to earth. Like they ended up grabbing one of those spots that wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for the pandemic. And on one hand, that was disappointing. But listening to the guys in the post game press conferences on the Zooms and all of that shit, I've told you, I'm not 100% sure that they were locked in on winning the division at the end of the season. Like they wanted to get to the playoffs. I honestly feel like that game that they clinched a few Thursdays ago, they wished that was the last game of the season and that they could have started the playoffs the next day, because we did kind of see them flip the switch in game 1. Game 2 started kind of rough. It was the first 7 innings were rough, but they put the kind of pressure on the A's that makes you feel like, oh, it's on today.
Right.
You feel me? It's busting today. And if the White Sox move on to the second round and face the Astros in L.A., you have to start looking at them as the favorite in the American League for next season. You feel me? And even with Rick Renteria on board, I saw the conversation on Twitter. A lot of people were giving it to Rick Renteria because Dylan Cease came out of the pen yesterday. Ooh. Was kind of baffling, but at the same time, and what I'm always going to feel like needs to be said is the young guys under Rick Renteria, most of them, are turning out to look like MVP caliber players. You know what I mean? Lucas Giolito, he looks like he's going to eventually win a Cy Young in his career at some point. Tim Anderson looks like he can be a perennial MVP candidate every year. Yohan Moncada, when he's healthy, looks like an MVP type player. Eloy Jimenez is going to be leading the league in home runs. Yeah, I mean, for years to come.
Is he in the lineup today?
I'm waiting to see. We got to see if Eloy is healthy. Sonya, if you can take a peep into the Twitterverse and let us know if there's any updates on that. We're hoping our boy Eloy can get busy today because his bat would be welcomed.
Yeah, I felt like I was listening to 720 yesterday, and they were saying that Eloy wasn't in the starting lineup, but he may have been available off the bench. And I'm like, well, if he's available off the bench, why the hell ain't he in the starting lineup?
Because he's not really
exactly
available.
Like, who stopped the shenanigans, man?
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't play yesterday with the situation that the White Sox ended up finding themselves in, they was a big hit away from still in that game yesterday, man. But I'm glad you brought that up, because for them to be in the position that they found themselves in yesterday or in game 1 without Eloy speaks to how deep these guys are, man. You're talking about a deep squad on the south side that just comes to play. You feel me? I feel like in a one-game situation, we talked about, the playoff format before this year coming down to one game. Hey, here it is. Come down to one game. You know what I mean? After 62 played, it comes down to one game, and I feel like the White Sox have the attitude of a team that can be very, very dangerous in this situation. I wouldn't be surprised if the White Sox jumped on the A's early and put them out of their misery early. But at the same time, for a team that has the reputation of Ricky Boys don't quit, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a grounded out. We take this one in the 7th inning or later and go to LA. You know what I mean? So I feel like on the south side, you as a fan, you woke up feeling good today. Like, even if the season ends today, I don't feel like the way they ended the season takes away from the positives that we saw. I feel like it's so much that these guys can learn from. And to get this playoff experience, for Lucas Giolito to throw, 6 perfect innings in his first playoff game. Yeah, Tim Anderson with a 4-hit game.
That was amazing.
With Tim Anderson, it's like 8 for 11, bro. Come on. You know what I mean? This is what the city has been waiting on. While the Cubs are off because of Mother Nature today, all of Chicago needs to be tuned in, rooting for the White Sox.
You should be tuned in, rooting for the White Sox, even if the Cubs were playing. It was going to be a back and forth.
Did you hear that? You hear that? Please. That was Cubs fans listening. Was that you, Sonya?
Yeah, it was. It was.
So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the guys getting Game 3 started in about 15 minutes. we'll keep y'all updated on the game, so you ain't even got to tune in.
Yeah,
Just
you
stay
know
with
this
the
boy
Bigs.
got his iPad locked and loaded,
I'm ready.
man.
I'm ready for the family, y'all. So,
come on, White Sox. I'm rooting for you guys, man. Like T said, I do think the future is bright over there on the south side. But also, like you also stress, man, you just never know. Like the lineup is great. When they get Michael Kopech back next year with Dylan Cease with a
fingers crossed,
a year under his belt.
Fingers crossed.
I think for the next 5 to 6 years they should be the face of the AL Central. But I don't know, man. There's something going on right now where the American League teams are like, you know what, man? Let's get rid of the AL Central as a whole in this first round of the playoffs so we can battle it out. Tampa Bay, Houston, New York, and Oakland. So we'll see, man. I'm definitely rooting for the White Sox. I think if they have to get to that bullpen, I think that's where the Sox can come up big on the A's today. But the A's, they got a strong offense even with Chapman out for the year.
Yeah.
They can still pound, don't put the runs on the board.
And the history just isn't good versus the A's. I mean, as far as the White Sox go, they didn't had a few problems over there in Oakland and the Bay. So if they can find a way to reverse the history, that's a sign of things changing. So go White Sox, Southside stand up. Let's jump into a break real quick. You're on the Sawyer with the Bigs.
Yep.
WIFTBPM.
Hey y'all, this is Salim Muwakil from Muwakil's World. In case you missed the last discussion, this is what you missed.
There was a time when there was a large-scale mythology that African people had no endurance. We were only good for sprinting.
Right.
And that was our forte. Other than that, we were useless in marathon races. Establishing your patrimony on the land. If you bury the dead, that means that this land is forever in your family.
Who are our ancestors, really? We are the living ancestors to a whole genealogical line going back hundreds of thousands, millions of years that we carry within us living today. Everyone who preceded us. Mm-hmm. However, that conception took place, whether it was violently, with rape, or whatever the case, but we are them living today.
That's why it's important to understand our capacity, man. Our capacity is unlimited. We have unlimited potential.
Absolutely.
So make sure you tune in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 to 1 p.m. on What's in It for the Black People Media.
When you need vibrant, colorful gear that offers high-performance material that keeps you cool, call Agent Huff Custom Gear. Let us take your expressions and create something new for your everyday wear, your bedroom, or bath. For all your needs, we offer custom sublimation, silkscreen, vinyl, and embroidery. You can reach us on all things social at Superhero Huff. www.superherohuff.com or 630-476-9191.
What's good? You back down on the soil rocking with the Bigs on What's in It for the Black People Media.
WIFTBPM.
Right back on the soil with the Bigs. I'm your man T-Time, coming to you live from the West End for Black People Media Studios. One half of the illest, most cold, the rawest independent sports media outlet in the land. Definitely the underground kings of Chicago sports. And since we are the underground kings of Chicago sports, it's only right we give you a glimpse into what we're going behind the scenes. As you know,
hey,
Gene, what's good?
Before we get into that, man, shout out to everybody out there that's peeped the authentic AI.
Of course, I seen them.
Iverson, Georgetown. And like my man Sly Polaroid said, man, I don't rock a throwback if it ain't made by Mitchell. There ain't no swing man going on over here. Matter of fact,
showing the people because the camera is letting them hold it.
You know, Mitchell, man, Mitchell. Ain't no swing man action over here, man. So shout out to the GOAT AI, man.
Authentic. Yeah. So, Gina, first of all, I hear you jangling too. You broke it down on your birthday, the chains, but I see him looking good.
Yeah, anybody that needs to know, man, I only break them out when I'm feeling godly all the time, but sometimes I need to channel that energy. So I'm repping Marcus Mosiah and I'm repping the Emperor Haile Selassie. So yeah, I'm bringing that God body to the What's In It for the Black People Media Studios, man.
Absolutely. Coming to you in the next hour, we got our family member Cameron Smith, reporter from MSG Networks, but he's from the soil. He's probably going to be the only guest in the What's In It for Black People Media Studios that's actually played LeBron at some point in his basketball career. We're going to be asking him about that, as well as the NBA Finals, as well as what's going on with the Chicago Bulls and everything on the west side of town. But Gino, can we talk about the big throwbacks? We want to introduce a segment. We got the videos. We got the videos ready to go. We want to introduce a segment to y'all at some point today. The big throwback, so you guys can get a little bit more acquainted with how we get down over the last 5 years. We got videos with Vince Carter, videos with D Rose, videos with any athlete you can possibly name. We're going to be digging in our vaults, pulling them out just for y'all, so y'all can get a little bit more of a better understanding for who y'all are rocking with. When we say KD, Bobby Portis, Steph, Mark Cuban, the list goes on. Damian Lillard, some features, some Chance the Rapper. We got a few things to show you guys, so we want y'all to know who you rocking with. And when we say the underground kings of Chicago sports, we mean that.
Could only be talking about one, man. It's us. You know the hashtag. It's us, man.
Absolutely. So when we're ready for that, we're going to be showing you a couple of videos today. We got something special for our Kendrick Nunn fans from the Vault, and also we're going to be digging back to, since it's October, one of my Facebook memories reminded me of the time we were on ABC 7's Heart and Soul. We're going to play that video for you guys in a little bit. But Gino.
Hey, you went real Throwback Thursday on them, huh?
Super Throwback Thursdays. I could have went with our Khalil Mack video. I could have went with you and Dame Lillard. I felt like Kendrick Nunn is special because we saw him playing the NBA Finals yesterday. We talked to him on a guest of one of our previous shows for like 2 hours on the couple of days before he got drafted.
Yep.
To watch his journey from being drafted to the D League to the Heat to now scoring in the NBA Finals, 15 points off the bench.
Crazy.
It's a special thing for a lot of people who I know only watch the game to see where the Chicago people are. You feel me?
Man, we got hella people, not just Chicago, but Andre Iguodala from Springfield.
Okay.
JaVale McGee, he ain't really from the crib, but he went to hell, so I guess we got to kind of cuff him.
Oh, we definitely got to cuff him. Let me tell you something real quick as far as JaVale McGee. We actually played JaVale and Hells on their senior night.
With Jerome Randall?
Jerome Randall, and they went crazy. I got a homie that I'm sure don't want me to tell this story, but I got just a visual of JaVale
putting his
with his things on his head. It got nasty at Hells. They did. It was their senior night, and we were, at the time, probably shouldn't have been on the same court, but it's those moments that you remember when you look back on it and say, oh, I remember JaVale McGee dunked on my homie. But with that said, now Taylor Horton Tucker over there with the Lakers, Kendrick Nunn,
AD,
Mason Plumlee with the Mac
Mason
Irvin Fire.
Yeah, man.
Come on. So
Chicago is representing Illinois as a whole, but definitely the crib, man. The soil. On the soil, man.
Absolutely. On the soil. So, yeah, coming up in a few minutes, we got our man Cameron Smith going to be talking NBA Finals, Bulls basketball with us. But for right now, let's go ahead and plug in. Actually, we'll hold off on that. Excuse me.
Yeah, we'll get to that next segment, man. Didn't you want to talk bubble real quick? MLB bubble real quick?
Yeah, the bubble, but I'm like, we probably not going to be there anyway.
Damn.
We going to be covering the Zooms from our living rooms because it's just not going down as far as the pandemic and media and number of people that they allow to do their thing. So,
yeah, I feel like MLB dropped the ball this year, man. I mean, you know how I feel about Rob Manfred anyway. I think I'll leave that alone.
Oh, you can't leave that alone. Come on.
I think Rob Manfred is an idiot. But
because they're selling tickets to the World Series and the NLCS now. You know what I mean? So it's like, what bubble?
Yeah, I just think MLB dropped the ball as a whole this year, especially, not allowing media, a certain amount of media, but selling 11,500 tickets. I mean, it's capitalism at its finest, man. I mean, and I'm not mad because we can do everything that we would be doing from the bubble, from the crib. If we only going to be allowed to get down on Zoom links and not have a one-on-one with the players or any of that type of stuff, it's like, why spend the unnecessary bread to travel when you can get the same thing from the comforts of your living room?
I don't have nothing to say about the bubble, man. It's like, yeah, I agree with everything you said, but it's like, yeah, this is the new media. You feel me? I feel like it's like I don't have anything, for the bubble.
I think the adjustment, we've made the adjustment. I think we've adjusted well to this new norm, even though what we kind of, honed in on was kind of taken away from us. But I think we've adjusted well, and I think we'll continue to adjust well. I think eventually things will get back to normal.
Whew. See, and that's interesting, man, because I feel like this is what teams, at least players want in the first place. You know what I mean? They get the freedom to, they get some space. And I feel like over the last couple of years, that's been one of the biggest issues with media and sports, access is that, they've been fighting for space. Organizations have been trying to cut down regulations for a long time. You know what I mean? Been trying to, change the rules every year to make it harder for the media to access
one team in specifically, but that's another conversation too.
Yeah, but at the same time, like that's just every team. I feel like, and the way it is now, I feel like is more in line with how organizations would rather it go. Keep the media and any outside noise outside of the locker room. Don't even give them access.
Let's control our own narrative as much as we can.
Yeah, so I totally feel like these organizations are going to grip onto this way tight, before they just give way and say, okay, let's just get back to normal. This may be the new normal. You feel me? Now, what's interesting is, like you said, man, since 2015 with the bigs, one of the ways we've been able to stand out is by being in close quarters with the players, being in the locker room, being able to form different relationships with these players than most media outlets could. You know what I mean? And now when you look at how things are, the playing field is more level than I've ever seen it in sports media. Everybody's doing shows virtually. Zoom is a huge part of it. We're huge with StreamYard. We got the switcher going right now. So anywhere can be a studio, you know what I mean? And basically that's how we stood out. But now every major outlet has that,
right?
So now it's like the mission is how do we find ways to make ourselves stand out when we all have similar tools now. All the tools are different. Like the machine that major outlets have, is not the same.
The playing field is even, man. So now is our time, man. I think now more than ever is our time to kind of like you said, since the playing field is even, now is our time to one up major media outlets. And I think it's only a matter of time, bro. It's only a matter of time, man. So once this Major League Baseball season is over, you know, like you said, it's the new norm, but you just never know. You never know what's going to go on tomorrow or in the future. So take it day by day, and it's us, man. I'm more than charged to see what we can come up with next and continue to push our demonstration forward.
Absolutely. Let's jump into a break real quick. We'll come back with our guy Cameron Smith talking NBA Finals. You're on the Sawyer with the Bigs.
WIFTBPM.
Hi, I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I'm running for U.S. Senate for the state of Illinois. I will never give up on inclusion and equality, prison reform, reduce property taxes, and economic opportunity for all. I want to get to know your neighborhood and the problem that you face every day. And I want to serve every man, woman, and child in the state of Illinois. A vote for me is a vote for you.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
What's up, good people? If you didn't tune in to the last I Said What I Said, here's what you missed. Special thanks to Love McPherson.
And when you talk about object sex, you in objectifying that woman, you glorify pieces of her. And let me tell you something. If you think that doesn't matter, it does. And I'm going to tell you why it matters. I looked at a video and I was looking at these young boys, these teenagers, and they were like, do you like black women or white women? I like white women. I like white women. And first I felt some kind of way. Then you know what happened to me? I started listening to them and they said, why did you like the white women? Because they'll do anything for you. Yeah, the white hoes. Bitch, you is a hoe. Bitch, you is a hoe. And I thought pornography has elevated what the white woman will do for you, the objectifying of her. And this is why we don't realize, even in our spaces, the black man is shut down because he doesn't know the power of his seed like the white man knows the power of his seed. Oh, look. Just like milk. He doesn't realize that you sit up there coming into my neighborhood, objectifying my white women because you say they do it better than your women is a problem. They don't do it to them, but they won't bring that out, and they will not allow you to do that to their women.
I said what I said. Urban 2, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
Check. Introducing your trusted source for high-quality black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
Chicago famous with Mike Love and Diz.
The destined legend himself, Leon Rogers.
Yeah. What's going on, Playboy? Man, listen, honored to be here with radio legends, man. Two brothers I looked up for and patted my success.
You walked away from your day job and you went straight in the
Man, brother, first time somebody called me to do the gig, they was like, hey, I got my grandmama's 85-year-old birthday party. She's turning 85. She has a brain tumor. I mean, now she's not going to be able to hear because she's in a coma, but she'll be laying in the room, and we just want the good vibes. Well, what is it? $75. We need you to do an hour. I'm there because of the passion. I wanted to do the comedy. Yeah. So I quit. But when you quit that job, and the job I had was decent. My father, every young black man should have a dad or a father figure in his life. Yes. When I say he went off on me. My son works. When I told him I quit to do comedy, my mom, mamas is always like, well, that's good, baby. You spread your wings. Realizing what God wants you to do. Right. My father like, you got to be the the dumbest son of a bitch in the world. I can't believe you came from my ball sack. $65,000 a year. Me and your mama combined only make 80. You dumb mother. I mean, going off. Like, me and my pops actually kind of fell out.
You know, old school black fathers, old school mindset. They came up working. They know how hard it is.
Hands knuckles black. Hands look like he worked at the steel mill, like he was dipping them in the lava. So, you know, he pissed. My hair's manicured.
He's super cool and he know kung fu.
I'm clean. I work on computers.
Drives a $5,000 car and wears a $100 suit.
Right.
He like, I'm out here getting lung poisoning from inhaling all these steel mill fumes and touching people's mail. Look at my hands. I can't even pick up a fork and knife. Your mama got to cut my food for me. And you want to quit to do some damn comedy. He hell.
Chicago Famous, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
WIFTBPM.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
What's up, good people? This is Herb Howard, one half of I Said What I Said. Make sure you tune in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. right here on What's in It for the Black People Media. It is intellectual thuggery at its finest. The Blackest Conversation, Herb Howard, Tucson Warner, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on What's in It for the Black People Media. 1 to 3 p.m.
Biggest threat to Illinois citizens from Washington is health care costs and policies. Senior citizens have their Social Security reduced from Medicaid, and some of our senior citizens live off $3 a week for food allowance. Working families are facing bankruptcy over policy and limit and cost. Drug prices require decision between food and Medicaid. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Vote for me and send me to Washington. God bless.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
Hey, what's good? This is Mike Love.
Hey, what's up? It's Diz, and if y'all ready to get y'all trip on, we got something for you.
Chicago Famous. 3 to 6, Monday through Friday on What's in It for the Black People Media.
If you've been a fan of our podcast, Chicago Famous, now you get to see us live Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. We are going to be off the chain.
Make sure you check us out.
WIFTBPM. WIFTBPM.
Dame Lillard, I'm rocking with the Bigs.
Hey, this is Jason Kidd. We're rocking with the Bigs.
I'm Chris Bryant from the Chicago Cubs, and I'm rocking with the Bigs.
This is Mark Cuban, Dallas Mavericks. You're rocking with the Bigs.
Back on the soil with the Bigs. I'm your man T-Tom, coming to you live from the West End for the Black People Media Studios. Man, I still kind of tripping that we got a finals game on the last day of September last night, bro. Like the young fan in me was excited, but I still was feeling kind of weird. Like this is supposed to be World Series time and NFL time, but the NBA is here and we got a finals game, and oh boy, did it get super ugly, super quick.
Man, to be honest with you, bro, I was watching baseball. The NBA was
didn't even partake in the NBA finals conversation.
Yeah, I'll flip back and forth. When I turned the first time, Miami was up by like 9. Then when I went back, I saw AD talking about we back. It was the end of the first quarter, and I guess they made a huge run, and LA was up 3. Then when I turned back the next time, they were up a dub, and I was like, this is what I really expected, and that's why I really didn't have any interest in the NBA Finals, to be honest with you.
Ah, come on. The thing about yesterday was, man, the Lakers realized early on that the Heat can't do nothing about Anthony Davis. I mean, it felt like he was hooping with, you remember on the play school rims, Joe, and you just used to stand over your little cousins and just dunk just for fun. That's what it looked like yesterday with Anthony Davis and the Lakers. I mean, so we got our family member Cameron Smith from MSG Networks coming on to talk about the NBA Finals. Y'all welcome back on the soil. It's the one and only Cameron Smith.
Killer, what up, Joe?
What up, family? Good to see y'all, man. Appreciate being on the soil with the family. T-Tom, Gino. I see that Georgetown Hoyas, man. That's the classic joint right there, baby.
Hey, man. I got to let everybody know, man. Cam, I'm going to do it again for the haters out there. And
hey, man.
You got to see the side of it. When you look at the side and you see this and you see the picture, that's when you know it's official. Only a real hooper like you knows about that, man.
I got to tell y'all a quick story, man. So I was on a family trip. And we went to D.C., a car ride out to D.C., man, just with my family, touring different campuses and everything, just kind of walk around, just kind of expose us to, college life, right? So we went on the campus of Georgetown. And in the student center, man, they had an Iverson jersey that was for like $95. And my parents gave me, I'm fortunate, some other contributions from my aunts and uncles and all that, but I had a total of $100 for that whole trip. We were going for like a week. I almost spent all my money on that Iverson jersey in the Georgetown Student Center, man, just because Ivo was that big. And this is like, I want to say this was 96, had to be, just after he left Georgetown. So I was thirsty for it, man. I almost tricked it off for number 3 Georgetown Ivo jersey.
Hey, man, Killer, the hustler that you are, you from out west, so I know you got that hustler mentality, man. So I already know how thirsty you were to spend that dollar on that AI, because I know you probably could have came up on a few dollars while you was out there with that west side mentality. But you probably did the right thing and held off. But, hey, man, I feel you 100%, bro. I probably would have jagged my dollar.
Oh, totally. I definitely would have threw it, too. I just had to play with the throwback, so I didn't get the feel of the Georgetown Iverson and being able to cop it like y'all two OGs did.
And it was the authentic joint.
I already know.
The authentic joint is gonna tax you, so that's why I was up to 95. If it was like the replica or whatever, it'll probably been like $30, But it was the authentic Nike original. I'm like, whew. My brother talked me out of it, man. He was like, yeah, all right, you only gonna have $5 left, and we got 4 more days on this trip. How you gonna eat? I was like, man, I'm gonna hustle some odds and one-on-one real quick out back.
Straight up. Hey, I told you, I already know. You already know. Lace them up real quick, get you a few dollars, and be on your way, man.
It's crazy because these throwbacks are going for a pretty penny these days, man. I'm thinking that was about $300-400.
Well, luckily, You know me, I'm plugged in. Shout out to Shakia Taylor for the ultimate Mitchell and Ness plug. But I know how to catch them up for a deal. So yeah, this one was like $3, but I caught it for half off, and then got another 20% for just being plugged. So. I saved myself a few dollars, but hey, man, AI is my
I may have to text Shakia as soon as this show is over.
Hey,
I need
man,
one of those deals.
You ain't got to text her, man. I'm the plug, bro.
Okay, I'm with the plug. Okay.
But no, man.
Gino, you about to get a text from me, bro. I need that.
Hey, man, let's get it.
Cam, man. So let's get down to business, man. We've been watching the guys get down in the bubble for the last couple months, and here we are. The day after game 1 of the NBA Finals, man. And I know we spent a lot of time wondering if we would even see, what we saw yesterday. But here we are, man. LeBron going after another ring. Jimmy Butler, against all odds, has willed the Miami Heat to the big stage in the NBA Finals.
The people smoke.
I saw your prediction yesterday, so I know which way you're leaning. I know you said Lakers in 5. But after seeing game 1, man, are you shortening that prediction? Are we looking at a possible NBA Finals sweep after last night with the Lakers and Heat?
Listen, if Bam Adebayo's injury is that serious with that shoulder strain, and you saw he ran into that brick wall with Dwight Howard, if he's out or if he can't be the Bam Adebayo that we've seen in the playoffs or we saw in the regular season, which allowed him to be an all-star, then yeah, it's a wrap for Miami. Sorry for everybody that's got ties to Miami, the city, that's got ties to the Heat organization, all of that. But it's a wrap for them if Bam Adebayo is not healthy enough. And the reason I point out Bam Adebayo is because without him, who's Miami's presence inside that lane? Yep. You have to have some kind of presence. It's not really more so against Anthony Davis. And we saw Anthony AD go crazy in game 1 inside the lane. But it's also for cats like LeBron or Dwight Howard, those offensive rebounds or just rebounding in general. If you don't have that body like a Bam in there that can cause some kind of disruption or provide some kind of just stoppage or just resistance against these cats going to the rim, then it's a wrap, right? So if he's really seriously hurt, which he probably might be depending on what they give him, how he's being treated leading up to tomorrow's game 2, then if he's not that, then it's going to be a sweep, man. So I hate to see it like this, and injuries are a part of the game. We know this. We've been around sports for a long time. And I said this in a text conversation that I had with a couple of my guys, that there's got to be an alternate universe where if sports injuries didn't happen, and the outcome of sports would have changed so many different things. So that's like in a different world. But the world that we're living in now, it's going to be tough for Miami to really get back within the series if Adebayo is not that guy. And I really haven't mentioned Dragic because, he tore that plantar fascia in his foot. But you got to remember that Kendrick Nunn was the starter for this Miami Heat team going into the playoffs before he came down with COVID-19. So this is a kid that, again, we know from the city of Chicago, played at Simeon, a legendary program, played for the GOAT. And I said GOAT and head coach Robert Smith and the IHSA. So this is a kid that isn't afraid of the moment. And we saw last night, 18 points in 20 minutes. It was a stretch where it was just a Kendrick Nunn show.
Right.
Like he scored 5 straight, hit a 3, got a layup, caught a nice little oop against LeBron, who LeBron tried to block his shot. So if you plug Kendrick Nunn into that spot where Dragic is going to be, then he's a guy that can provide you offense in certain areas that Dragic couldn't. And I'm talking about putting pressure on the defense by attacking the rim, but also stretching the defense out a little more. Similar to Dragic, but we know that Kendrick Nunn has come with a different type of energy being from the crib and what he's going to bring for that spot. So I think if he's plugged into that role as a starter, then that will help Miami provide some kind of scoring punch to help Jimmy Butler, to help Tyler Hero, to help Duncan Robinson. And those two guys in Hero and Robinson got to be more in a game in game 2. We know that they were young, bright lights. It's a new situation. It's the NBA Finals. We saw those jitters with them. They were too inconsistent. So hopefully they have a better game 2 and Miami can come out stronger. Because I'll tell you this, if Miami doesn't win game 2, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. We saw how just LA, Anthony Davis, LeBron just went and snatched the heart out of the chest of the Heat in game 1. If they're able to do that again in game 2, then it's going to be done. And LeBron's going to get that 4th ring, and Anthony Davis should be Finals MVP.
Now that goes right into what me and Gene were talking about before we brought you on, Cam. Kendrick Nunn definitely showed that when the Heat are going to be looking for offense moving forward, he is possibly definitely the guy they're going to be looking to it from. I would love to see him in that starting role and try to get the Heat on track because the work is cut out for him regardless, even with a fully healthy team.
But I do think that as far as a scoring punch, I do think Kendrick Nunn can match Goran Dragic as far as the scoring output points-wise. But I just think that Goran Dragic brings a different type of energy. Like you said, we all know Kendrick Nunn is from the crib, from the soil. He brings a different kind of get it out the mud type of mentality and game with his. I think Goran Dragic brings more of a veteran, savvy, old school, he knows when, where, and how to get his shots off. He knows how to penetrate a defense. He's been in that culture for so long that I think he just brings that type of feel to the offense. So, like you said, with that plantar, Tim Legler said he had that same issue and he missed almost a month.
Yeah, we saw Joe Johnson with that injury the year that the Hawks played the Bulls, 2013.
Right.
And he was terrible after the injury.
Right. Yeah. That especially for guys like that, guys who depend on being able to change motions in no time and just being able to maneuver and get those type of shots off. But I just think, like you said, Bam Adebayo, that shoulder is no joke. And I really think that it really doesn't matter what kind of treatment they give him. I think that his shoulders, it was a wrap anyway. If Bam, right, Goran, and Jimmy were healthy 100%, but I think it was a wrap. But I want to get your opinion on this, and this is something that me and T talked about Tuesday as far as Jimmy Butler is concerned. I don't think Jimmy is a superstar. I think that he's in the perfect situation for him to be able to hide. I think Pat Riley I think the Heat organization as a whole, but I think Pat Riley himself is a guy who's able to hide his players' weaknesses and get the best out of their strengths. And I think Jimmy is that to a T. And I was just telling T, I think Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo play as much of a role in them winning as Jimmy does. And I said, I just think the only way that I think Jimmy could ascend to superstar status is if they beat the Los Angeles Lakers. And I don't think that Jimmy could average 40 a game, and I still don't think that they would beat the Lakers. So do you think Jimmy is a superstar right now, and what do you think about all of that?
Well, Jimmy is definitely not a superstar. Let's just get that out the way right now. So there's a certain group that you give that superstar title to, right? And in my mind, just off of my head now, of course, LeBron, you got to throw Giannis in there. You got to throw KD in there. You want to throw Kawhi in there as well. And then after that, it's kind of like you can plug and play. Like you can throw James Harden in there. You can throw Kyrie. You can throw Steph. Like those guys are all interchangeable. But there's a small group of superstars in the NBA. Yep. Then there's a bigger group of stars like a Jimmy Butler, like a Bradley Beal, right? Like a lot of cats that really haven't won it all. And I think that's the separation, and because I have Giannis in that superstar category, but the cat has back-to-back MVPs, right? So this is a cat that obviously when you reach that level or you reach a championship level where you are the focal point, then you become that superstar. I just don't think Jimmy is that, but that's not a fault of his own. I think that's just his makeup, right? He's maximizing his talent. You remember Jimmy when he came out of Marquette. He was basically like a defender, kind of like a 3-and-D guy in a sense, because he wasn't really the focal point of that offense. He was a cat that was going to lock you down defensively, make some big shots, be tough, rebound the basketball, similar to what he was when he was in Chicago with the Bulls in his first 6 years, right? He evolved in those later years to becoming the guy, but he's never really been the dude to throw the ball to and say, hey, continue to get me a bucket. Not just get me a bucket, but continue to get me a bucket. And I think Jimmy is one of those guys that are a get me a bucket here and there type of dude. And he comes up in big moments, as we saw in the playoffs, late game stretches where he makes a big shot or makes a big defensive play and converts that into a bucket on the other end. But to throw that superstar label on him isn't fair, because I don't think he is that. And the Heat knew that with bringing him into that situation. They knew they were going to bring in Bam Adebayo. They like what they wanted from him. They like what they wanted from Hero. They like Dragic. So these are all pieces that, again, to your point, Gene, that can hide Jimmy And yeah, he'll get the notoriety as, oh, he's leading this team, but it's more so Miami doing this by committee, right? So it's not even just with the players on the court. It's also Eric Spoelstra.
Yep.
It's also that Heat staff, and a lot of guys are putting in these pieces. And we know this in sports. You need some kind of identifier. You need a face for whatever you're trying to push, whatever that narrative is. And Jimmy is the face of that team because he's one of the more higher profile names in that Heat organization.
And Cam, I feel like what you just said is how we started the debate. You know what I mean? I feel like him being the face of a championship or just the best team in the East, because, you know, I think calling the Heat a championship caliber team is kind of, you know, a crazy thing to say, because the Lakers, I feel like, are so much better than them. But at the same time, a lot of people said that Jimmy Butler could never be the face of a team that found their way to the finals, you know. And I just heard you describe his offensive game as a go get me a bucket sometimes. And although, of course, you know, definitely not calling Jimmy Butler a superstar, but I feel like Eric Spoelstra described it perfectly and said that he impacts winning at a level that a lot of players in the NBA don't really do. Like, even, you know, I bring up a guy like Russell Westbrook, and we've seen basically the opposite be said about him over the last season or so. To see Jimmy Butler really kind of blow by what his expectations was continuously, like you said, Cam, getting the max out of his talent, I feel like almost kind of puts him in that group of stars, like you said, that's kind of, it's a little bit of traffic in that right there. He's kind of in a class of his own, because he just is the type of player that nobody expected him to be in this situation, continues to bet on himself and win. You know what I mean? So I'm liking, you know, what I see from Jimmy Butler. I feel like they got a bunch of problems right now with things at hand, but, you know, I think you got to be proud of Jimmy Butler in the way that he's pushed himself past expectations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, facts on that. I mean, you can't – if you're a cat out here hating on Jimmy Butler, then, yo, shame on you, bro. Like, you got some hidden issues. You got some hidden issues with yourself, man. Like, yo, like you said, like T-Tom, like you said, the man bet on himself, not once, not twice, but 3 times, right? For him to enter the league, that's a bet on yourself regardless, right? Then he comes into the Bulls situation where he was up and could have took a smaller contract or some smaller money and didn't want to do it. And what did he end up doing? Killing it for this team. And now that put up his dollar value. And, of course, the Bulls jagged and traded him away because they didn't want to pay the man what he was worth. And so Butler was like, all right, cool. Well, y'all do that. I'm going to find my situation. And he found a situation in Miami after going through Minnesota, after going through Philly. But he found his situation, and now he's reaping the benefits of betting on himself. And so he's never been, again, that cat that was top 10 in the country coming out of high school, a McDonald's All-American, you know, first team All-AP, you know, college basketball player. He was just a dude who was like, look, all right, well, I got my opportunity at Marquette. I maximized that. I got on some NBA radars. Okay, now I'm going to go to the league. Now I'm going to maximize my opportunity with the Bulls, learn under some great players in D. Rose and Joakim Noah, Luol Deng, a lot of cats that took him under his wing and showed him the ropes. And now he's putting his own spin on things with his team in Miami and showing them how to be a leader, how to be competitive. And T-Time, you said about what Eric Spoelstra said of him impacting winning. Like Jimmy talks about this all the time of him doing things his way. Like he's going to be himself regardless. And he encourages people on the team to be themselves as well, because he knows that's the best way to really get out of, in terms of your talents, your abilities, all that stuff, is to be yourself and to really challenge each other. And that's what he came up under with the Bulls, like him and D. Rose going after each other, D. Rose going after Joakim and them going after Boozer, and just kind of saying, hey, you're missing your assignments defensively. Like if you can challenge the guys and have the top guys challenge you and you challenge them back, then that's iron sharpening iron right there. And that's what he learned under, and that's what he's doing in Miami, is holding these guys accountable. But they just came into a situation where they're playing against the Lakers, and they're just outmanned. They don't have the talent to match up with this team.
Man, you mentioned, you know, Jimmy Butler giving a lot of respect to D. Rose and Joakim Noah and those guys on the Bulls that basically shaped him and helped him grow up in the league. But here's something I want to run past you and Gene, because both of y'all are my OGs. Y'all are who I run to when I got a question. You feel me? I hear a lot of talk and watching the finals from Mark Jackson and a lot of analysts on TV saying that we just might be taking LeBron James for granted. And I would love to hear what you guys think about that because I've always enjoyed your LeBron opinions. He's heading towards his 4th ring. You know what I mean? He's been the face of the league since a lot of the fans of the league today have been kids. You know what I mean? So what are y'all thoughts on the idea that we take LeBron James and his legacy for granted?
Yeah, I think it's not even just LeBron. It's more so for all the greats. Like, we've seen their greatness over such a long period of time that, again, you just become accustomed to it. It was the same thing in Chicago with Mike. Like, that you couldn't tell anybody, not even just in Chicago, but just the basketball world in general, that when the Bulls were in the situation in 97, especially 98, when it was Game 6 and Jordan started to kind of make his run, he made the layup, you knew in that late game situation that the Bulls somehow were going to come out and Mike was going to hit the shot. Like, you didn't doubt that. Yeah. So that's taking greatness for granted right there. And I know it personally, I took it for granted many years of just anticipating the Bulls being in the NBA Finals, Mike winning another chip, and continuing to do it over and over and over.
That's just how it goes, right?
It's just how it goes, right? Same thing with Kobe. And I even said this when Kobe, God rest his soul, was still on this earth and giving cats hell, was that we won't appreciate Kobe until he's gone. And when I meant gone, I meant retired from the game. Unfortunately, like, he's physically gone, but still what he was able to do in the NBA, we took that for granted because you just saw it night in and night out, him hitting tough shots, of, again, having that mentality of holding guys accountable for that Lakers team, getting in their faces, trying to get the best out of them and leading them to back-to-back championships against Boston and against Orlando and against Boston. So that was a cat that was just like, yo, Kobe's going to be Kobe. We're going to see him doing great things. And it's the same thing with LeBron. Like, we've seen this cat for 17 years. It's crazy to think that this dude has been in the league 17 years and still at the peak of his game. Wow. So when you see all the accolades and the stats that's being stuffed down our throats of him being first in points, or first in playoff points, or second in assists, and all of these things, you just start to become numb to it. Just like, that's just what LeBron does. So I think all the greats, to answer your question, T, I think all the greats at some point in time are just taken for granted, just because we see their talent and just what they produce on the court on a night in and night out basis.
That's a great point, Cam, because I personally feel like every time I watch LeBron, he does something within the game where I feel like, okay, yeah, I'm going to miss that when LeBron is out of the league. But Gene, what do you think? I don't know if Gene is agreeing with you, Cam.
No, I agree with Cam. I agree 100% with Cam. My thing, I'm just not a LeBron James fan, man. I think I'm pretty sure he's a great guy off the court. You know, he shows you how you're supposed to bring your guys up, the guys that you came up with, unlike some others. But LeBron definitely showed and proved how you keep it all in the family. He's definitely exceeded expectations since he came out of St. Vincent St. Mary. I have no problem with anything anybody has to say about LeBron. My whole LeBron beef was when he just used to send the Bulls home every year. The couple years we had hope with Rose and Jimmy and Boozer and Powell and all them guys, LeBron was there to say, you know what? Nah, not this year. So that was really it wasn't even a beef. You know, that was just the only thing that kind of irked me about LeBron. But that was because of his greatness. I'm just not a fan of not the way it's hard. It's really hard just because, I mean, I'm a Mike disciple. So like Killer said, the GOAT, we know who the GOAT is. Let's just put that to rest. Once we put that to rest, and I don't even get into those debates anymore because I really don't care. LeBron can win this championship. He can win the next one. Whatever. LeBron is in a class of his own. He's going down on the Mount Rushmore, and that's that. But in my eyes, 6 for 6, 10 scoring titles, 9-time all-defensive first team, dunk champion, defensive player of the year, MVP in the same year, all of that, that's who the GOAT is in my book. So, again, I do think what Mark Jackson and what Cam said, I do think we take LeBron James for granted. You know, the way he's kept his body up for 17 years. Yeah. You know, he's continually got better. If you look at it, just looking at field goal percentage alone, he's shooting like 57% versus shooting like 47% maybe 7-8 years ago. So I think he's learned the game. He's learned to kind of scale back a little bit it was kind of like the D Wade and LeBron situation. It was like D Wade knew that if we were gonna win, we got to let LeBron do him. I'll play the backseat if they need me to come through at the end. I've got that in my DNA. So I think now it's the same thing. LeBron, he had Kyrie to kind of, hit that game-winning shot in Golden State, but we all knew the guy that averaged a triple-double throughout the series was the man. It's the same thing now. We, like Cam said, when the Lakers win this series, AD should be the MVP, but I think LeBron is the guy that starts the engine that makes this thing go.
He's like the heartbeat, and I totally.
But Gene, you said something important though, man. Sorry to cut you off, T-Time, but you said something really important. That LeBron is in a category in a class of his own.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't make him better, or that doesn't make him the GOAT. But in terms of what he's able to do, we've never seen it before. So that puts him in a class of his own. So I think people get that confused sometimes of when they say, okay, well, LeBron's in a class of his own. We've never seen this before. People start to kind of blend or blur those lines and think, okay, well, are you saying that he's the greatest of all time?
Yeah.
It's not that. It's more so of what he's been able to do for 17 years, of being 35 years old, of being second or being a runner-up in the MVP votes. Yeah. This is a guy, again, that, like, you mentioned it, since 14, since he came out of high school, right, has been pegged as to be the next greatest basketball player on earth, and he's lived up to those expectations. Now, reality hit him, and it hit that I guess, Mount Rushmore or status that he was trying to achieve when he lost those NBA Finals series. But still, he has become a guy that has surpassed cats that we thought couldn't be in a category that can average a triple-double some nights, or just kind of put out the whole totality as in terms of a player on the court. So he is that, but I don't think that he's better than Mike Jordan, because we've all come from that era, whether you grew up in Chicago or grew up around basketball when Mike was still playing, or you were older and started to watch Mike evolve and become the greatest of all time. We had that blueprint of what greatness was, because we saw Mike go undefeated in the finals. We saw Mike just rip the hearts out of cats, especially when it came to late game situations. So we knew that, okay, well, that's greatness. That's what we associate greatness with. It's the same thing with Kobe. Kobe saw that and was like, okay, I want to be that. And in his own ways, he was that, right? So it's the same thing with Kobe. He's in a lane of his own, but that doesn't make him greater than Mike. Same thing with LeBron. He's in a lane of his own, but he's not greater than Mike. Even if he wins the fourth chip, which he will, that's not going to move the needle and put him closer to Jordan. I think we have to start to differentiate this conversation of GOATs between Michael Jordan and LeBron, and just talking about that conversation and appreciating LeBron for who he is and what he's done. And that's what I've tried to tell people on Twitter, especially, is to appreciate what you're seeing. Don't get into this GOAT conversation. Because now you're starting to pollute and muddy the waters. Just appreciate this dude for what he's doing, because in his own way, in his own form, in today's NBA, that's greatness, right? And this is what these kids, these young kids, are seeing now, and this is their GOAT, right? And that's no knock to them, but that's how they define what greatness is,
right?
But you gotta differentiate when you have these conversations. And I'm like you, Gene, I don't get into these GOAT conversations no more, because when you're 30 seconds into them and you hear that first sentence or first 30 seconds of what that person is saying, like, all right, I'm not about to waste my time and talking.
Period.
Because clearly,
you know where it's going, Cam.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Cam. I just for one time, I want to talk about LeBron James without Michael Jordan's name coming up.
And stay away from those Twitter idiots, man. You know, a lot of those guys, they use idiots logic. So I don't even, once I see those debates on Twitter and Facebook, I either X out, or I continue scrolling, or I just use I get back to my regular mind, and I'm like, I'm not even entertaining this, man. So I stay away from it, man.
The stat nerds and what's that? Ooh. What's that? The term that they pegged them now. The
analytics people.
The analytics crowd. Like, yo, if you're having a conversation with them, then stop it, man. We all know what that is. And the faces that are associated with the analytics crowd, right? So if you think analytics, you know what type of person I'm thinking about. Yeah. And they destroy the game in itself. So don't have that conversation, especially on Twitter or social media.
I'm tight at analytics people the way they talked about Kobe towards the end of his career. So I'm never letting it. I'm always gonna have a chopper out for the analytics people just for that alone.
Kobe, Carmelo, like they kept Melo out the league for a few years.
Man.
Like, I mean, these are cats that we all know that have never really truly played the game, have never really had any real conversations or relationships with cats that are tapped into the game, whether they're a player or a writer, coach, anything like that. It's just them trying to, again, push these narratives about why maybe a Carmelo or why Kobe is a bad player. Like, really? Come on, man. Stop it.
Absolutely. Cam, these Los Angeles Lakers, like we've been saying, man, it's looking like LeBron is on his way to number 4. What could stop that from happening, if anything?
Nothing.
Man, it would have to take a serious injury, and I'm not wishing this on anybody. It would have to take a serious injury to either LeBron or AD for them to really have a reversal into who they are and what they are, right? Because in game 1, the biggest thing that I saw from this Lakers team was the easiness of how Danny Green, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, maybe Kyle Kuzma, you can throw them in there, and also Rajon Rondo, of how they got their points. It was more so catch and shoot. And I think that's the difference that Miami realized after game 1 is that the Lakers aren't Boston. And when you play a team for 7 straight games, a team that you see constantly in your conference and being in the East, you're comfortable and you're adjusted to how they play, the mannerisms, just their style of play. So Miami would go zone against Boston, as we saw in the last series. And you have cats like Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, and also Jason Tatum that would catch the ball and start to think and start to try and create for themselves or others. The Lakers aren't that. Danny Green is not trying to do that. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope isn't doing that. Kyle Kuzma, Alex Caruso, they're not doing that. Their only mentality is to catch if they have space, if they have that space to catch and shoot the basketball, because they have LeBron creating, or they have Anthony Davis creating, or they have Rondo creating for them. So when Miami, as we saw last night, went zone, all you saw was Danny Green catch, step right into his shot. Caldwell-Pope step right into his shot, catch, shoot. Same thing with Kuzma. Some situations you saw that with Caruso. So it's a different makeup with this Lakers team. And if they're hitting shots like they did last night, then it's a wrap. But the only thing that I could see the Lakers stopping this roll, this momentum that they have is really a serious injury, or they just forget how to play basketball. And that's the only thing that I can think that can happen. Like, they randomly fire Frank Vogel today and hire Jim Boylan an hour later and have him coach the Lakers. Ooh. And then they forget how to play basketball. That's the only way that the Lakers are going to be denied an NBA championship.
Well,
I had to send a shot to Jim Boylan.
I know you did, man.
I could never miss an opportunity to send a shot at that dude, because how he finessed the Bulls and how he finessed the NBA of trying to be an NBA head coach was a travesty. And the Bulls front office understood that, and I'm glad they brought in Arturas Kanisavas and Mark Eversley and brought in Billy Donovan, because what they've been subjecting Bulls fans to, especially cats that grew up during the dynasty years, was disgusting. And that dude got off and was able to add that to his resume of being a head coach at the NBA, and he got away with highway robbery.
I'm glad that you said finesse, because the people need to understand that that's what the situation was. And when I was covering White Sox games a couple seasons ago, the number one person I used to run into after games getting on the elevator would be Jim Boylan and Jay Reinsdorf.
He was greasing his palms way back then.
This is when Fred Hoiberg was the head coach. So I know Jim Boylan had to be working his number, getting that relationship right, because when you look at the Bulls organization, you know that Jay Reinsdorf is making the calls, and Jim Boylan put a target on his back. It was like, hey, we could be cool. We could be friends. Just give me that head coaching position. You don't have to worry about a thing. Pay me the smallest amount any coach is getting.
The smallest amount in league history. Pay me that, man, and I'll coach you guys. Do it all.
But with that said,
just to throw it on his resume, man, like that's trash, man. That's trash. And so thankfully they got him out of there.
Jimmy B, man.
With that said, before we get you out of here, man, what were your thoughts on the Bulls going ahead and giving the head coaching position to Billy Donovan, and how do you think that's going to affect the Bulls moving forward as an organization?
Now, I'm not going to do this too loud, but I'm going to clap a little bit. I'm going to give a golf clap, because I was surprised. I was really surprised, because I didn't think the Bulls would, open up their pocketbooks to go after Billy Donovan. And Billy Donovan was asking for a bag. He was one of the highest paid guys that were seeking a high dollar amount to coach whatever team that was going to attract him.
What's he getting, like $6 million a year or something?
I believe it's $6 million a year. I think it's totaling out to like 24, maybe 25, around that number.
Okay.
So he's definitely getting a bag from the Bulls, and that's something, again, as you mentioned, you mentioned this about the Bulls paying the league minimum for these coaches, right? You saw that from Jim Boylan. With Fred Hoiberg, he had a situation where he didn't live out his full contract, right? He was only in the NBA and coaching the Bulls for a handful of seasons, so the Bulls really didn't have to shell out at that much more money.
Yep.
But this is a team that is notoriously cheap, and we've seen that from the players that they bring in to the coaches that they hire as well. But for them to take this step to hire Billy Donovan and throw him a bag was, for a lot of people in Chicago, especially Bulls fans, you have to be excited about, because it's not just the track record of Billy Donovan. Like, he's a proven head coach, and people go back to his college days at Florida. Yeah, he was a great college coach. But what he did in OKC for his 5 seasons, getting them in the playoffs, especially this past season, with one of the worst rosters in the NBA, and we talk about a captain, LeBron, who's been in the NBA for 17 years. Chris Paul has been in the NBA for 15 years and revived his career and got people talking about him and how he isn't dead and how he isn't washed away. And a part of that is Billy Donovan and how he gets this team, or how he gets his players to really buy into the system that he has. And you look at that OKC roster, they had a lot of young cats on that team that really stepped up their play. And so the situation and the makeup of the Bulls, of Markkanen, of Levine, Otto Porter, Wendell Carter Jr., Kobe White, more importantly, because he's going to be the head of this, one of the heads of the snake and being the point guard for this team in Billy Donovan's attack. Billy Donovan has these relationships, so he knows how to coach them and to get them into the right positions. He's asking them already, like, what spots on the floor do you like the basketball? I have to cater my scheme and my attack to the talent or to the makeup of my roster. We didn't hear anything like that with Jim Boylan, right? We didn't hear nothing like that. All we heard was like, my guys we tried to play hard. We gave a good effort, blah, 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 blah. All that coach speak stuff. But Billy Donovan is a guy that is a true head coach and is really going to get the most out of his team. So I'm excited for what he'll do for this franchise, and how AK, I love to call him AK because that's how he came through. He came through spraying with these moves that he's making, and the Bulls giving him full autonomy to make these decisions, and bringing in a black man and Mark Eversley in their front office to make these decisions to help him with that. So it's a good move for this team, and we're going to see how it plays out when the season resumes in January.
Absolutely. Hey, definitely looking forward to it.
Let me get mine off.
Go, Jen. I know you got. I know I couldn't end the segment.
Hey, Cam, we gonna end the segment right after this, man.
I feel like I gotta guess. I can guess what you gonna say, but go ahead.
I ain't going, and I'll believe it when I see it.
Yo, I feel you, Gino. I feel
you could only feel that.
And it's nothing against Billy Donovan. I'm just not sold on this roster we got, so I'm gonna just leave it there. I am happy that they had the gall to shell out some bread for a guy who's, like you said, his track record, his win-loss record, and his winning percentage speaks for itself. 5 playoffs in 5 seasons with Oklahoma City. We know what he did in the 20 years at Florida. So I am interested to see what he can bring and how he can implement his system with this roster we have. See if we can make a move and trade up in the draft and get somebody, maybe land a free agent. I'm not sure what's going on, but like I said, right now I ain't going, and I'll believe it when I see it.
I feel like I'm just.
I'll tell y'all this, man. I think at least Billy D is gonna get us over that 30 win mark.
Yeah,
we haven't seen 30 wins.
Right?
The baby steps. We ain't seen 30 wins since the Thibodeau era. So we'll definitely get over that, man.
And I'm just sitting back in the passenger seat, riding shoddy with Arturis and those guys. You know what I mean? At least for this first time around, when they're coming in and implementing, what they want this team to look like. I'm actually excited. You know what I mean? I'm excited to see what they do with this 4th pick. Excuse me. We've gotten a 7th pick so many times, it just comes out.
Well, I'm like that guy riding the Vegas Strip in that Cadillac, following.
You looking out the window while everybody Suge. Blowing that red.
I'm following Suge and Pac in the Cadillac, and I'm ready to strike at the light, man. So,
with
much
that
love
said,
to Pac, man.
With that said, Cameron Smith is an Emmy-nominated broadcasting host. You see him on MSG Networks. You see him on the Stadium Network. He's always going to be getting down with the Bigs. He's an official family member. As the Bigs, certified as they come. Thank you so much for joining us, bro.
Always love, man. Y'all family. You know what it is between us, man.
Much love to you, my brother.
With that said, let's dive into a break. On the other end of this break, we're going to jump into the Bigs throwback. We're going into the vault, showing you some special things for iPads. We'll see it on the other side of this one. You're on the soil with the Bigs.
WIFTBPM.
I was going to ask you, so growing up, did you ever have an old racist family in your neighborhood? Did you have one live next to you or one down the street? Just somebody's house that you know on the block, you didn't want to go nowhere near that house. The neighbor who was directly behind us had a real problem coming outside, seeing my white mother and my black father.
We got us the gun line.
This dude built an 8-foot fence, more like 10 foot.
So he put up the Huck Finn joint.
Exactly. That shit looked like a castle. You know, my dad, he's a big guy, football player guy, my dad guy who walks over there.
Old school
and then
black.
he's like, yo, I don't appreciate these apples in my yard. He's like, motherfucker, we don't even have an apple tree. These are your apples.
You like apples?
Your kids are throwing apples over here. Okay, there's that little space, but there's still a fence, so they're right there looking at each other.
Tell them about the gun line, boss.
And I said something like, yeah, Dad. And that dude said, shut up, you little monkey. Leroy stuck his hand over the fence. You're gonna die, clown! Grabbed dude by the neck.
Run.
And proceeded to pull him halfway over this fence. Like, finish him. Mrs. Wheeler comes running out. Oh, Leroy, don't do that. It's not worth it. Blah, blah, blah. My dad was getting ready to kill this dude. And within 6 months, that guy moved away.
Don't cross the gun line, boss.
Right, the gun line, boss.
Chicago Famous, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
WIFTBPM.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio, you're listening to The Bigs with Eugene McIntosh and Terrence Tomlin.
Let's begin now.
Get back on the soil with the Bigs. Last 10 minutes before we pass the mic to our brother Chicago Famous.
Make sure you let them know who you are, though.
I'm your man T-Time, coming to you live from the What's in It for the Black People Studios. I'm digging in the vault, man. I was up late last night running through a few of our videos, and I was down memory lane tripping. I'm like, it's been a long time since we've been on the grind, bro.
5 years, 5.5 years, man. It feels like at one end, it feels like we've been at it for a long time, but it also feels like we just getting started. But I would rather feel like we just getting started because we got so much more to offer.
Absolutely. One of my favorite sayings of yours, brother, is it's only up from here. And that's the attitude that we apply to everything that we attack. But it's only right, man. You guys have been holding it down with us at the West Center for Black People Media Network for a few weeks now. And it's only right that we do a little bit more to get acquainted with our family members. Let you guys know who you're rocking with. So we decided to pop the vote open. We've never done this for anybody else but y'all.
OTF, man. Only the family.
Only the family, man. So without further ado, the Bigs throwback. We're going to take it back to 2016 when ABC decided to send some cameras our way and follow us on a day in the life of the Bigs. They called us at Bulls Media Day. They called us at Wrigley Field for Cubs playoffs in 2016.
They came through the land.
A special year for all Cubs fans, I'm sure. But they, most importantly, bro, I don't know if anybody ever had any footage of this before ABC. They caught us in the UC with me and Gene grind, okay?
Hey, man, the UC has become really famous on Facebook. The UC is actually a location on Facebook.
Yes, I peeped it like, look at these dudes. The YOUSEE, the UC. All right, definitely, that's the headquarters. That's where the Bigs was birthed and started, and we started our journey. ABC called us in rare form, so let us show that to you guys for a little bit. Without further ado, from 2016, the Bigs on Heart and Soul.
With an NFL team, 2 Major League Baseball teams, a Stanley Cup champion hockey team, and the famous Bulls dynasty, Everyone knows Chicago is a mecca for sports lovers, but the way those teams were being covered by the media inspired two passionate sports writers to offer a new perspective. ABC7's Will Jones introduces you to the guys behind the Bigs.
It definitely started for many nights, catching Bulls games, catching Bears games on his couch in his apartment, and it sprung into a conversation is, man, how can we get our perspective more of a platform?
Now, many times from that same couch, Eugene McIntosh and Terrence Tomlin carry out their dream of delivering the day's biggest Chicago sports headlines with an African-American perspective.
Being a part of the culture, we can bring something else out of the person that the normal media person can't.
We're not saying we're better. We're just saying that our concept and our thinking is a little different.
Yeah, I know, right?
Their website is simply called The Bigs.
The Bigs is a play on the big league.
The big leagues, yeah.
For the past year, McIntosh, Tomlin, and veteran photographer John Alexander have become regular fixtures in Chicago locker rooms, at Wrigley Field, and at the Bulls Advocate Center to bring their readers and Facebook followers their unique style of sports coverage.
When you read an article from the Bigs, you're going to get our language. You're going to get that Chicago style, but you're also going to get real information. We're going to tell you the truth about how we feel about what's going on in the sports world right now.
And all of the city's professional sports teams, like the Chicago Cubs, are welcoming these sports reporting newcomers with open arms.
To make sure that there's diverse representation across all platforms, especially as the online media is growing, I think it's so important.
And the players themselves, like Cubs pitcher Carl Edwards Jr., recognize the importance of the Bigs mission.
To me, it's important for us as African Americans. We see a lot of us here and there, but you don't see them in certain industries, like the industry that you guys are in right now, the Bigs.
And in just a year since they launched, the Bigs have landed interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. Names like Jimmy Butler, Derrick Rose, Addison Russell, and Jason Hayward.
We've been able to build relationships with these guys to the point where they are checking for the last article that we did.
Along with interviewing and writing about Chicago sports, the Bigs soon hope to begin mentoring and showing aspiring student journalists the ropes of sports reporting.
There's a lot that we give back to every time I see journalists, showing the younger generation that now, yes, it's okay to want to be the next Michael Jordan, to want to be the next Derrick Rose, but you can also be the next Jim Rose, prominent sports journalist in Chicago.
This leap of faith, called the Bigs, is everything they've ever dreamed of.
The first time that we were able to get into a professional locker room, we knew that we didn't want to do anything else. So we are able to live out our dreams through sports media and sports journalism and the Bigs.
You can find the Bigs on multiple social media platforms and, of course, the web. We'll link you to their website if you go to abc7chicago.com. Click on sections, shows, then specials. Next, we check in with another duo.
There it is, man. Hey, it's crazy to go back and see how it all got started, you know? Like Nas said, they love to hear a story, man, how it all got started.
Man, brother, that took it back, man. I mean, that was the first time, like you said, we had been on CLTV a couple times. No disrespect to CLTV because they've shown us more love than any major network.
RIP Sports Feed.
Shout out to JP and Josh Friedman and Larry Hawley. But it was crucial to be featured on ABC7 with Karen Jordan and Jose Sanders and
Will Jones.
And seeing Will back then, Will looked like a baby, and to see him 4 years later being basically the face of ABC and just seeing how far everybody, especially us, how
still
far
on the ground.
You guys look like babies.
Yeah,
I had a lot less hair, that's for sure.
Me too.
Yes.
Me too.
Your shirt's official.
But yeah, man, shout out to everybody that's been on the grind with us, who's been a part of the Bigs family since then, and everybody who's joined the family up until now. We got a lot more to offer, and like I told T, man, it's been a great grind so far, but we just getting started, bro.
Absolutely. We taking y'all with us. Don't even worry. We're bringing our family wherever we go. Y'all are going. Look out for more interviews. We're going to be digging in the vault every Thursday. We'll make sure we got something cool to show y'all from our past. But look forward to the new stuff that we'll be dropping. Even if it's on Zoom, we're going to make sure that we're at the front of the line, kicking down the door. That's just how the Bigs does. It's just what we do.
Hey, man, let's get up out of here. But before we go, are the Bears going 4-0 Sunday?
4-0. I'm sorry. The coach is easy work on Sunday. Nick Foles. Let's get it.
Nick Foles in the building. Hey, man, shout out to everybody on the soil with the Bigs. It's another official edition. Make sure y'all stay tuned to the network because coming up next, we got the stars of What's in It for the Black People Media, Mike Love and Diz, Chicago famous, coming up next. So stay tuned. Peace and blessings. Much love to the family.
Till next Tuesday. You just got down on the soil. It's the Bigs.
Peace.